We are here to create a scroll saw pattern on paper of John Wayne. I'm going to let a few folks get in here before I start talking in detail, explaining the process. Or at least one or two people. But whether you're seeing this live or whether you're seeing it later, I welcome any and all questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to find it for you. And if I do know the answer, then hopefully it'll help. I do my patterns on paper because I'm not good with computer programs. As far as teaching, what I call teaching is me explaining why I'm making certain decisions, and you'll see me change my mind in real time because I do that a lot. And not every pattern I do comes out perfect in the end. It takes, in the end, I try to get it as close to perfect as I can. But by doing these live streams, you will see that they don't just roll off the presses, so to speak. There's a lot of trial and error. That's why yesterday's live stream took 4 hours. Hello, Herb. Yeah, I say yesterday. I think it was real early this morning. But we'll call it yesterday. The last live stream took 4 hours because although it looked like it was going to be a simple pattern, there was a lot of decision making regarding shadows and wrinkles and lights and darks. It was just all kinds of stuff. And I'm about to sneeze, so forgive me if I suddenly pause. Hello, David, Joanne, Arrington. Appreciate you being here, watching over on Facebook, and Herb Hooper's over on YouTube. For those that it matters to, the YouTube chat is usually most active, and video quality is usually clearer over on YouTube. And if you want to connect on YouTube, I go by Charles Deering Scroll, but you should be able to find me under Charles Deering. But I hope you'll subscribe, click on that bell to be notified. And if you want to connect on Facebook for any reason, I go by the Charles Deering, and that's all one word. But yes, you'll see me in real time. I'll say, okay, I'm going to do such and such, and then right after I say that, I'll say, no, I think I'm going to do this. And you'll see me change my mind in real time because making a scroll saw pattern is not a cookie cutter operation. Every pattern is different, and the decisions you got to make. Again, this is, as far as teaching goes, I'm only teaching the part on paper. I'll show the part that's done on the computer, but the purpose of me teaching is not to teach the computer part because it's only for cleaning up and coloring in, or cleaning up the lines and coloring them in for public display. And I do have 6 downloadable videos on woodenvisions.com as well as over 1,700 scroll saw patterns. Woodenvisions.com. I do scroll saw custom scroll saw patterns. If you're interested, I start at $50. And you'll be able to see that if you click on that tab in woodenvisions.com. We have Sigmar Arnold. Yes, I did Sigmar, but I got it right before I went live, so I didn't have time to respond. But if you can get me a better straight-on picture, we could probably work from that. Herb Hooper says, here a little early today. Yeah, the last couple of days we've done it overnight. Mac Pierce is with us, says, good evening, everyone. Aussie Man Bill says, so is Aussie. And Mike Ranger has joined us from over on Facebook. Appreciate y'all being here. We have 11 people watching. Any questions y'all have, please don't hold back. I will answer anything. Whether or not Russ Meadows joined us, I don't know what he's got going on, but he's been invited. Now, for those of y'all that like it when things derail and I lose my mind and crack up, it happened at the very end of the last live feed. So if you want to check out live feed number 63 just for that, people seem to be more entertained when I completely lose it and start laughing so hard I cry. That happened towards the right near the end of the last live feed because Russ Meadows, I don't know what it is, but he has trouble pointing directly at the webcam when I'm trying to get him to do the whole scroll on thing where you're pointing at the camera and saying scroll on. He's got the scroll on part down, but he for some reason cannot point directly at his webcam, and it's just we found that funny. We both had been up for a while and we lost our freaking minds. So if you want to see me or hear and see us laughing until we cry, watch about the last 5-10 minutes of that live stream. But in the meantime, let me explain what we're doing here. Ron Norris, the chickens are doing fine. Hello, sir. I'm going to screen share real quick, and when I screen share, I'm not able to see comments when I don't have someone on the panel to read them to me. So y'all bear with me, and I'll show you what we're doing here. Herb Hooper says, "Let me tell you, it was hilarious. Him and Bill, I believe, were here when the show ended." Okay. Now this is the picture we're working from, and I left the selection area selected so you can see what I do. Now I could do this as a single sheet of paper going vertically, but I split it in half. That way, if I have 2 sheets of paper that are filled up with this, which you just saw, the picture is technically bigger for me to get in closer to print out 2 sheets to make a larger scroll saw pattern. You can size it whatever size you want, but it allows me to quote unquote zoom in to see the detail when tracing it. And we rarely literally are tracing. It's just deciding what to trace is the battle. So there's that. But if you want to do it on a single sheet of paper, you can do that. So there's that. Let me stop sharing. We'll get back over to the live feed. Yeah. Aussie Man's agreeing. Yeah, Herb Hooper and Aussie Man, I think we're the only ones here besides me and Russ when we lost our freaking minds. That was so funny. And Ron Norris, I'm not going to fully repeat that, even though it's not unfamily friendly. I've lost it a few times, but not for that reason. But I am acknowledging your comment. Again, if anybody has any questions whatsoever, it's okay to ask. Doesn't matter if I've said it 20,000 times. I don't mind repeating myself because not everybody's here from start to finish, by golly. But hopefully Mr. Russ Meadows will be able to join us at some point. Because it's always good to have a co-pilot on the train wreck. All right, but I appreciate everybody taking the time to be here. I'm going to tell you from the start what I do. And because not everybody's here for every live feed, I will be repeating myself. You get a clean sheet, a clean piece of glass, or at least with no texture to it. The reason for that being is because you're tracing paper. You're tracing on top of a sheet of paper, and if there's any texture on what you're tracing, it will, like if I were to tape this directly to the desk, and you see these scratches and crap, that would make little bumps in the line that we don't want. Hello, Jacob. I believe that's your name. Sorry, it's been a while. JSG Woodworking is watching. So that's why you want a piece of glass, is because when you're tracing stuff, you don't want any kind of texture underneath to mess up the line you're drawing, mess it up on your own. And I have another pattern going on in the back of this that I showed at the beginning of the last live feed. That's why there's a sheet of paper already there, but it's on the back side of it. So that is why we use a sheet of glass. We get a clean sheet of paper. And the reason why I never do this stuff ahead of time is because I don't know who's watching for the first time, so I always start from scratch. The only thing I've done was print out the 2 sheets of paper, as you've already seen. We got a clean sheet of paper, and this time I remembered to put it in the description. If you want to go right to where I get my carbon paper, it is in the description of this video, and I put it in the last few live feed videos. It is the darkest I have found, and it works best for me for doing scroll saw patterns. Very dark. So if you look in the description right this second, this is on YouTube, by the way. I don't think it shows up on Facebook descriptions. But there's finally a link to take you directly to where I get my carbon paper, and I love it because it's nice and dark. But I do have a window unit on because it's a tad bit muggy around here, so I'm going to put something there to keep it from blowing around. So if y'all been wondering where I get it and didn't want to go searching for it, by God, just click the link in the description of the video and go get you some. We are taping down both the carbon paper on top of the clean sheet of paper because we don't want anything to move. Because once you start tracing, if it moves, it could be really bad. And then we'll tape the half of the printout to the glass. Let me cut off this excess tape that hung over. Now, none of what I do is mandatory. I'm just showing you how I do what I do, and you can pick and choose what you like. And appreciating this and that. And yeah, it feels good to actually be doing a live stream at a reasonable hour, at least reasonable hour for me. Last couple, almost every live feed I've done for the last couple days have been at very weird hours. But that's how we roll. And I'm pulling the corners to make sure there's not any ripples in the paper, because that will translate through, which were problems to have, but it is the case. And then what I do, because I forgot to do this before I put the paper down, I'm going to, we're going to work on the upper half first, but we want to butt this sheet up against it to line everything up to see what's going to be on the second half, and I'll explain that after I cut off this white stripe of the second sheet here. And I didn't prepare my glass, and the glass is occupied on both sides, so I'm just going to do it directly on my desk because we have the piece of glass. And that's probably why my desk is all gouged up to begin with, because I treat it like a workshop table. Awesome Man Bill is saying it's 106 degrees here today and send some cold over. Yeah, it's a little muggy here, but not anywhere near 106. I'm in Gatesville, Texas, for those that care. Mac Pierce says, I've missed the last couple of live feeds, Charles. I'm really glad to catch this one. I'm glad you could too. And I know the odds weren't there for the people in the U.S. to catch it because the weird hours I was doing them at. So I get it. Jacob says, those weird hours is why I haven't joined in a while. Yeah, and I understand that. That's on me. I go by whatever sleep schedule I'm working with, because otherwise I get real bored overnight, nothing to do. So I figured let's start a live stream. Because not everybody watching is in the U.S. Okay, what I'm doing, the reason why I'm being picky about where I place this is because I've exposed two edges of that sheet underneath, so I can make sure it's lined up. And because if you do one sheet lined up and the other one slightly off at an angle, then when you try to join the two halves on the computer or whatever, it could be slightly off. So I'm going to find something with some kind of weight to it to hold that down while I tape it down. Happens to be my phone. Call me. Jim Bob says hello from the Wood Tick. Hello, Jim Bob, over on Facebook. Appreciate you watching, sir. Again, this could be obvious to some people, but I try to explain everything I'm doing. I'm taping it down so this does not move. There we go. Okay. Mac Pierce says, no worries, Charles. You have to stream when you can. We understand that. By golly. Yep. Always appreciate when y'all join, because I know you don't have to. Just know that your comment is important to me, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. All right. I have felt better in my days, but I've also felt worse, so we're good. Keeping my mind off of it will help, which is what we're doing. And I know I'm overly taping it down, but, better safe than sorry. I don't like drawing on paper than having it flop up and down, so that's why I go through a lot of tape, a lot of carbon paper, and a lot of paper, and toner and ink and all that kind of crap. So this is one of the reasons I start at $50 per photo to pattern, because all the material I go through, and it takes a while sometimes. And sorry, I had a computer pickup. I wanted to make sure that was okay. And the reason why we took off that white stripe off, or that excess blank area, is because, number one, if you do this, it looks kind of funny. It's kind of a caricature version. That's not why I do it, though. It's just a little side entertainment. we do that so that when we're drawing on the upper half, we'll know if the line we're working on is going to continue to the lower half. It just helps to know that. So that's why I do that. So we're going to tape that right there. And that will let us know what lines you're going to be. Of course, you're going to want to make it sit still. That's why we're going to be taping it. You don't have to do this part. I just do it so I know when I'm drawing a line. And it also helps when we're done with the upper half. We'll do the same thing, attaching it next to the other half. That way you can see what lines you need to continue. That's more important for the second part of the when I'm doing the lower half pattern. But right, we're still taping it for the sake of taping it. I took a late nap, so I'm probably going to be up all night. I'm actually still tired right now, but the show must go on because that's what I do. Not worried about the background. No importance to it. We're concentrating on just Mr. John Wayne here. This is cropped from a slightly larger photo because, you know, it just is. I have cotton mouth. That's one of the side effects of my steroid prescription. So I'm going to take a drink. But we do that anyways here because, you know, we partake in our favorite beverage. We won't break blades doing this. So I don't know what drinking game y'all want to play. And y'all are welcome, actually encouraged, if you don't mind, sharing this video on Facebook and YouTube. More so from YouTube to Facebook or from Facebook to other groups on Facebook because I get in trouble on Facebook if I spam too much. But I would like it if y'all would share this around to the scroll sawing related stuff and get it in front of more folks. Maybe they'll learn something from it. Hopefully, if I can teach one or two people, we're doing good. Now, I know I never jump right into it because I explain different things. I'm very thorough, or I try to be when I'm explaining things. Well, things you can run into is shadows within shadows. Perfect example is you can tell that the light's right here coming at them from this direction. And we have the frown line here very dark, and that's the sun shining on the one side. That's somewhat of a shadow there. We're pretty much going to ignore these shadows. But one area that can make or break a pattern for some people, yeah, Mac Pierce says, drink every time he says, by golly. Leonard Davis has joined us. Let me catch up. Mac Pierce says, Charles, are you ever tempted to give him a handlebar mustache? No, sir, I am not, but thank you for asking. Aussie Man says, nice pick of Little Duke. Yes, sir. Hello, Leonard Davis. Appreciate you joining. Jesse Ramirez has joined. Hello, Jesse. Okay, a perfect example of, I don't want to say can make or break a pattern, but it can affect how it looks because we know that there's a shadow of his hat coming right through his forehead, but you'll also notice you can see the forehead wrinkles behind it. So if you choose to accent this shadow, just continue that shadow line across here. You could trace it as you see it, but I think it could translate funny having darkness over here and then suddenly you see his forehead stuff. So, I mean, now I'm going to draw both to give us the option. And I did that on the Clint Eastwood one yesterday. Yesterday's live stream was a Clint Eastwood, and that took a lot longer than I thought it would. But there was a lot of overlapping shadows and shadows that were light and dark and a lot of decision making, even the color of the eyes. And it ended up thinking the one with the dark eyes looked the best, but that's the perfect example of a decision you need to make. And you can make it after you've already drawn it, but we're probably going to treat this like that shadow line goes all the way across. So that's just an example. Now, I'm sure y'all can tell this is not a crystal clear focused scroll saw pattern, so some of this is going to be guesswork because, you know, there aren't clear, crisp. I can't talk clearly and crisply. Okay, I'm just going to stop that sentence. Mimi Lord has joined us. Hello, Mimi. She says, hey, everyone, I'm glad I got to catch this live stream. I missed the last few, but we'll be watching while I'm cutting. I appreciate it, Mimi. Yeah, a lot of at least the U.S. people missed the last few because I did it in weird hours. Mr. Tim Calandrino has joined us. Hello, Tim. And Aussie Man says too many options yesterday. Yeah, I ended up copying and pasting about 6 or 7 times, but we ended up with a light-eyed version of Clint Eastwood. Well, let me show y'all because I still have them on my. Oh man, I'm telling you, if y'all like it when I lose my mind and start cracking up crying, then you will love about the last 5-10 minutes of the last live stream. These are what we ended up with. That's the dark-eyed version and the light-eyed version. And it looks like a relatively simple scroll saw pattern, but my God, it was chaotic. It took about 4 hours. Now, usually about the first 21 to 30 minutes, and I'm literally saying 21 minutes because I've noticed that's the average of how long it takes me to describe everything. But this is what we ended up with. But it took about 4 hours, and part of the battle was this, like stuff like this line that goes across his neck. That was 2 different shades of shadow, and I had to decide whether or not to include it. Same thing with his forehead. That played a lot of crap on there. It was stuff like that. So that's what we're dealing with there. These are not on the website yet, but they will be. These website is woodenvisions.com. And let's get back over to whatchamacallit and stop sharing. Where are we at? Stop sharing. Hello. There we go. Okay. Jesse Ramirez is asking, what software is that you're using to make your pictures big? If you're talking about the thing I was just screen sharing, that is Paint Shop Pro 4. That is not even made anymore. I just move it from computer to computer. But as far as teaching, I'm only teaching the paper portion. I'm right around 20 minutes. See, it happens that way every time. 21 minutes, almost on the dot. For some reason, it takes right around that long to explain the whole process and throw in a little bit of babbling. So I always start with the eyes if I can help it, and I can help it. Okay, let me turn off this window unit. Get a little bit nippy in here. Get a little bit quieter. I definitely felt better in my days. Okay. Yes, version 4, and it's no longer made. Mr. Daniel Davis says, hey, Charles, just stopping by for a sec. Well, howdy do, mister. Appreciate you being here. Hello, Randy Brosheen. Well, see what happens when I do it during normal hours. People start coming back. Now, I know I'm going to keep repeating this because I know a lot of y'all love it when I completely lose it and start laughing so hard I'm crying. If you want to see that, look at the last 5-10 minutes of the yesterday's live stream. Or the last live stream, whatever time it was. But it all started because me and Russ Meadows hadn't had a lot of sleep, and for some reason he can't point directly at his webcam when he's doing the whole scroll on thing, and we just found that funny, and here we go. And because that happened on the live stream prior to that, all the laughing was after the live stream. But because of him having so much trouble pointing directly at his webcam, when I ended the screen sharing portion of the last live stream, he's caught on camera practicing pointing directly at the webcam, and it started from there. You know me, when I start laughing hard, it gets pretty chaotic. So that is the last about the last 10 minutes or so, somewhere in there, of the last live stream. So that's how long it took to end the show because we couldn't get our crap together. So there's that. We're going to start with the eyes. Now, the light in the eye here is about all that's showing. On this side, part of his iris is showing. So we're going to try to stay true to the photograph by doing it as you see it. But some of it may not translate well, as we found out with Clint Eastwood. But the way we can bridge that in is just to add it, since it is close to the edge of the eye. Where that light is shining off the eye does make a difference as far as realism. You want to make it true to the photograph. Now here we could either add it to the eyelid there, or we could add it to the side. Here it's more wanting to add it to the side because it's a little bit lighter right there. So we're going to try to stay true to the photograph, and you'll hear me say that a lot, even in real time with all the decision changes I'm making. Hello, John Nave. Yeah, Russ and Charles is stumbling, Louise, something like that. That's funny right there. Appreciate you joining, John Nave. Yes, and you're going to hear me say, okay, we're going to do this. And then as I'm doing it, you'll say, no, let's do this. Because there's no script to what I do here. There, it is real time because not every pattern goes smoothly or quickly. And you're welcome, Jesse. Uh, Another thing we're going to be battling with, so to speak, we have a dark shadow here, but a little bit lighter shadow there. You cannot shade in a scroll saw pattern. It's either there or it's not. So there's going to be a little decision making there. But any decision I make will affect the final outcome. My gut says to color all that in because it is, as far as shadows go on his face, that's one of the darker ones. But this one's even darker than that. But I think we're just going to combine them all. So here in a second, we're going to get started. So here we go. Now, oh no, see, I always say here we go, and then I find something else. This is the drawback to the picture being a little bit blurry. And this may translate funny because we have a very prominent dark shadow slash eyebrow over here, and this one's all kind of sporadic and not really any defined shape to it. So it may translate funny. That's what I mean by talking about translate. You can see it on a photograph and you believe it because you're seeing it with your own eyes. But as a scroll saw pattern, you're relying on your depiction of a photograph, and it doesn't always translate well, quote unquote. Daniel Davis says, "Is it easier to trace the pic when it's in black and white or in color?" And that's a very good question. Let me try to think of how to answer that accurately. John Nave says, "Now I have my scroll saw pics." It depends on the photograph, Daniel, because I've found it both ways. If you're looking for only lights and darks, either one is fine. Grayscale will work. Yeah, it's more grayscale than actual black and white, but I know what you meant by black and white. This is considered grayscale, but yeah, on a TV it would be considered black and white. So it's good at finding the lights and darks, but if the color of what you're working on matters, that's when printing it out in color helps. I'm trying to think of another example where having it in color helps. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It has its benefits both ways, but whatever you're comfortable with. But someday you'll be working on a black and white photo, and if you have the option to have it in color, you may, while you're working on the pattern, you may be saying, if this was in color, I would know what this is and this and that. So it helps you either decipher what you're looking at or the shade it is. But a perfect example of having to pick and choose. This is a very perfect example of dark on dark. We know from common sense that he's wearing a dark colored shirt right here, but there's dark shadows on here. So unfortunately, as a scroll saw pattern, if we're tracing just the shadows, the shirt's going to look light. There's no way around that unless you just made a complete gigantic cutout. So as far as my decision making, we're going with the shadows that are on the dark colored shirt. So the shirt won't, the shirt, God, if I could just talk, we'd be halfway done. I forgot what I was saying now because I can't even talk. Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to go with the shadows on the shirt. So if we want this shirt to look dark in the final scroll saw pattern, it's just not going to happen. And that's just the sad reality of choosing to do the shadows instead of just making one giant cutout with a little string in there for the color. You can do it however you want to, but I like to add the details. So there's that. We don't know what color this bandana is, but we know it's a bandana. And you see different shades in there. This is all, some people want to color their, you can either stain or paint or whatever. So it's really about staying true to the photograph, but sometimes there's advantages to knowing the color. Like even when somebody has blonde hair or red hair, sometimes it plays into how much detail you add. Sometimes it doesn't, and it's hard to verbally teach that because it's one of those things. This is what I was talking about, kind of thing. So forgive me for not having a perfect answer for that. And even as I start, I know we're going to have trouble somewhat with the eyes and that eyebrow looking so sporadic, but we're going to try to stay true to the photograph, and that's all we have to compare it to. Appreciate you watching, Daniel. Glad you stayed so long. I'm just kidding. Yeah, And there's some things that show up more to me than y'all, and sometimes things show up better on the screen than they do to me. There's times I've actually used the computer screen during these live streams to see. It only took me 30 minutes to start the pattern, but some of the stuff has to be explained, and that's not a problem. And I forgot what I was talking about because I derailed again. Again, this piece is a little bit blurry, and forgive me for those times where my hand gets in the way because I'm still getting used to showing people what I'm doing rather than just doing it. Now, if you see me stop and pause, it's because I'm trying to decide where to proceed. I know that you can tell that there's well, maybe you can't because I don't know what shows up on to y'all, but a lot of the iris is showing, the iris being the colored part of the eye, but it's not showing on this one. So if I did it on one eye and not the other, it could look weird, but we're also trying to stay true to the photograph. But it's one of those things we're going to have to just experiment and try. If we don't like it, we edit it out. But I can see a little bit of the iris up to this point and the pupil. So at least for now, this eye is going to look light and the other eye is going to look dark. But because there's light shining on that iris as well, I stopped the line there instead of bringing it all the way up. Otherwise, that would be a floater. And none of the detail anywhere in this picture is completely crisp and clear. So I'm just going right over into the shadow. There's a little bit of light right there in the shadow, but I'm going to treat it as just one big shadow, I think. See, this is me changing my mind on the fly. Because hopefully y'all can see that. Anytime I say, if I go to point it at something, sometimes it may not show up to y'all, but it shows up to me. There's a little bit of a light. Not bright light, but, there's a shadow there, and a little bit of lightness between them. But that's also the same deal we're running into with the hat shadow. It's shadow within shadow, and it's a decision each time. That's the biggest bummer of scroll saw patterns, is that you cannot shade for realism. You have to pick and choose the shapes of shadows and colors. Wow. Some of this just is not going to translate well. We're going to find this out. Because I sat down with that Clint Eastwood pattern yesterday and thought, this would be a pretty easy pattern. And it took 4 hours. They don't always go the way you plan it. We're dealing with dark shadows within light shadows. So I'm picking and choosing. We have this weird shadow going on here, and that tells us the shape of his eyelid. Every shadow suggests the shape of everything. And the shadow's there because of the shape of things. I'm going to go ahead and break up that shadow the way I see it. Although there's light and dark shadows, I'm just going to break it up right around here. And if that looks funny to me later, I'll just draw a line through there and we'll color all that in. Again, if you have any questions while we're working on this, that is completely fine. I don't mind stopping to answer questions because I don't know what y'all know and what you don't know and what you want to know. By golly, just ask. I will say I'm very rarely toot my own horn, but if I'm going to, I can say I have the most Clint Eastwood and the most John Wayne scroll saw patterns on the internet. And I'm proud of that. Woodenvisions.com, a lot more John Waynes than there are Clint Eastwood patterns. But I'm proud of that. Here, hopefully this cluster of shadow will translate okay. It would be easy to just trace the details, but that could make it look generic. And if you're looking for simple, that may work. But if y'all have known me for any time, simple is not always in my vocabulary, although it should be. And some things are showing up more to me than they are to y'all. And I do see this shadow right here, but I'm going to hold off on the extent of that for now, because I'm more concentrating on the more prominent shadows, because I don't want to do overkill. That's ironic coming from me, isn't it? Now, a lot of what this shadow is probably what the eye orbit. And a friend of mine printed out a 3D printed me a skull, and it's perfect for these live streams, and that I can teach what we're looking at, so to speak. Uh, so forgive the morbidness of it, but this is a skull. When I talk about the eye orbit, and I did this on yesterday's live stream, you can kind of see that shadow there. What this shadow right here is representing this right here. This area right here is the eye orbit. So that's the little cavity that the eyeball sits in. So that's the ridge we're dealing with in that shadow. So that plays into the texture of a face and stuff like that. So occasionally I will bring out that skull to talk about anatomy. But I will not be bringing out anything else for anatomy classes. Come on now. I don't get any idea. So there, oh, way to derail yourself per the usual, Charles. Now, again, y'all can see those lines there, but if I add too many, it could add like 20 years to his age. So I'm trying to pick and choose. Some wrinkles and shadows translate well, some don't. I'm jumping around here. I didn't even finish that eye yet, but this is another example of shadow within shadow, but I don't want to do overkill because it may look too dark. And this is one of those things I may change when I get to the computer part. He's got some age on him here, but he's not 90. So another area that can be overkill is crow's feet, but they are there, so you want to try to stay true to it. And the eyebrow goes into the crow's feet. That's an example of where color matters. I don't remember who was asking it. It was either Daniel or Mac or somebody, but where color matters is determining whether or not it is a shadow in the skin or if it's a hair on an eyebrow. Because this could be a crow's feet and eyebrow, but without it being in color, I don't know. But this source photograph is in black and white, so I had no choice in the matter. But that's a good example of whether or not to do it in color or grayscale matters to me. But yeah, I'm not just 100% confident that eyebrow is going to come out perfectly because we are dealing with the lights and darks and the chaotic shape of the shadow. But for right now, I'm just gonna. We don't have the iris showing on this one, believe it or not. Even though that eye is closer to us, the light is shining more on that iris. We're trying to stay true to the photograph, but if it ends up looking too funny, I'll color in both eyes. My stomach is making weird noises. There's a little bit of an iris there, I guess. Right, coming up this way, up this way here. So I don't know. Some of this just may not translate right. So y'all remember that when we get to this point, I may just make that a circle of light for the light shining off of the eye. And there's no defined shape to it because it is a blurry photograph. And I apologize when my hand gets in the way because I'm not used to having to watch out for that. Although I should be because I've been doing this a while. Okay, we have shadow of the eye into a crow's foot. Crow's foot refers to those wrinkles at the corner of an eye for some people. As far as my typical patterns, this is going to be somewhat of a simple pattern compared to a lot of them. If that matters to anybody. Okay, Mac was saying it was Daniel. Okay. See, I'm paying attention. By the way, because YouTube loves to review my stuff during the middle of a video, I do occasionally check that because, Daddy needs new shoes. I'm kidding. Okay, we're doing good. We are still on point here. Okay. As you can see, not much has gone into these eyes, but the eyes, okay, this is maybe common sense to some people, but I don't want to assume anything. When you're working on a portrait of somebody, you obviously want it to look like them. But something as simple as a hairdo can look specific to somebody, not necessarily in this case. But in 99% of people, their identifying features are in their face. They could have a unique shape grin or smile or look on their face. They could have a crooked smile. They could have a weird squint in one eye versus the other. Little things like that. Mr. Wesley Balco, I don't suppose you can join us, sir. It's up to you. I sent the link to the group deal, but I didn't want to push anybody. Haven't talked to you in a while, Mr. Wesley Bucko, watching over on Facebook. He's probably going to say, I'm working on this and that. My cat's in my lap, and I don't want to be there because I don't like you no more. But the offer's there if you want to be here, Wes. Appreciate you. Wes does his patterns sometimes on paper and also on a digital, with a digital pen. He could tell you more than I could because I've slept since then, and my memory, I don't even know who I am right now. Okay, I don't remember where I left off, but I know I need to do this eyebrow, and I'm not thrilled about how it could turn out because this one is so prominent in the shadow that this one could look like a whole holy cluster. Now, it's easy to say, I'll just trace what I see and let you translate it, but I care too much about what it looks like. But, the only thing I can do is trace what I see. So we're just going to, there's no defined shape to it. That's part of the chaos. So I need to break it up where it's broken up and then draw it in where it's at, and just hope that it translates well. Because if you don't know the source photograph I'm working from, that's what I mean by things translating well. If you're comparing a scroll saw pattern right next to the photograph, it's easy to say, okay, that's what that is. But when I display my scroll saw patterns, they're not always next to the photograph I got them from. So that's why it matters about it, quote unquote, translating well. And I don't know which of these are hairs and which ones are shadows, so I'm just including them all. I'm telling you, it could end up looking like crap. We'll all find out together. Could be a combination of the two. I truly have no idea. So I'm half guessing. And there's some light crow's feet in here. I think we'll be okay. Sometimes I overthink, sometimes I underthink. Underthink. Wesley Balco says, I see the link, date night, just in for a minute. If you're still up later, I might jump in with you. Well, you never know with me, Wes, but congratulations on having a date night. But Wes, if you want to see me lose it again, look at the last 5 or 10 minutes of the last live stream. Me and Wes, dang it, there we go again. Me and Russ Meadows. It all started because he can't aim when he's pointing at the camera to say scroll on. I tried to give him that cherished honor of saying scroll on, and he butchered it, and we lost it. But have fun on your date night, Mr. Wes. And oh yeah. Okay. Let me do a little thinking here. Apologize for being quiet. I don't always have to think out loud. I'm just deciding where I want to proceed and how I want to proceed. And one example of a wrinkle or somewhat of a shadow or wrinkle is right here, but it's not real prominent. So whether or not to include that is what I was thinking about. So I'm just going to do a thin line since it's not a very prominent. If something's not very prominent, make it as thin as you can, enough to get a pilot hole in there, or you could attach it to that if you wanted to. But, I may eliminate that line later. I don't know. I just saw a little bit of a shadow. And we do have this eye orbit I was talking about. So my gut says don't add it, but that's why I'm drawing it, because I'm so decisive. But it's there as an option. We can always edit that out. And I'm pretty sure this will go much faster than the Clint Eastwood did yesterday. That was chaotic. And if you're just joining and weren't watching earlier, one thing we're going to be battling here is, now I'm going to draw all of it just for the sake of the pattern, but we have light shining off of his forehead, but you also have the shadow of the hat going across his forehead. So it may not translate well into a scroll saw pattern, making this all black and then having the detail on the forehead. But since it is there in the photograph, I'm going to draw it and just see if it translates okay. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's why I'm bringing it up. And now I'm deciding where I want to go in the pattern next. And I apologize for that swinging cord. That's my headphones, which I don't really need unless somebody comes into the chat, or comes onto the panel, so I'll take that off. It lets me know if I'm being heard or not, but I'm pretty confident we're being heard. So we're going to draw the edge here, and it doesn't have to be a thick line. It can be a single line, and I stop it on this upper half because that's what we're working on. There's nothing under the lower half. But as far as making a palette hole, I'm going to treat this with a wooden background. We're not going to take the background out of this, although it could be an option later if somebody wanted that. I could do a version without a background because sometimes those look better. So I'm ignoring what's in the background of the photo. I'm just concentrating on John Wayne. Now, when you have just a little bitty pattern line like this, you can put your pilot hole right there at the nook where it meets the hat. So I guess part of what you're designing is at least having enough room for a pilot hole, and that's why every now and then I'll suggest where to put one. Another area, this is just an example, I'm not tracing anything here. If you have lines that intersect, where they intersect is where you would put your pilot hole. So there's that. And we may deal with that again right here. So might as well draw that in. No, we have the shadow on the front of the hat here. And that can be tied in. And that's where your pilot hole can go when we do the side of the crown and the top of the brim is where you can put your pilot hole. And I know I turn the sheet a lot, and some people might get a crick in their neck because of that, but I do that just to visual comfort, just like when I'm scrolling. Okay. Now, another example of something we're probably not going to add. You can tell that the sun's shining on the hat, but we don't necessarily have to add anything here. Now, this might be me changing my mind in real time. Technically, this is a shadow, but that would mean the whole hat is in shadow. And if you made that black, it wouldn't look like the photograph, because it's either cut out or it's not. You can't shade. So I can suggest where the sun turns into the shadow by doing a little bit of a shadow here. And I guess I can do that for the sake of comparison. We'll just go ahead and do that little, and it's kind of a raggedy shadow because it's on felt. So you're kind of suggesting the texture. And this may look like total crap as a scroll saw pattern, so we could take that out. But at least we suggested where it changed into shadow. Mr. Russ Meadows is out in the chat. That means he's not here because he may not have quiet around him. He's saying, Thelma and Louise, Daniel, you remember what happened to them, right? Drove right off a cliff. And Daniel's not here anymore, by the way, Russ. Mac Pierce says, hi, Russ. I think he might have had that part in mind. Oh, that's true. Okay. Apparently I was way behind on comments. Okay. Now, this probably won't look right in the end, but I included it just to say you can if you want to. Dave Gatt says, hi, Charles. He talks more clearly than I do. He says, hi, Charles, scroll on, baby. Right back at you, Mr. Dave Gatt, and watch over on Facebook. We appreciate you. But we know this hat band is dark, so we're going to include that, obviously. Appreciate you being here, Dave. Your viewership is important to us, so please leave a message, and I'll get to you the second I see it. Bye, There's not any real clear shape to this because it is such a blurry photograph, but it tells me there's probably a bunch of conchos or something on his hat band. And so we're just tracing what we can see. And there's a little bit of one here. Doesn't have to be perfect. It is just the hat band. But if it was more clearly focused, it would be more perfect. Okay. Okay, Russ Meadows says not quite at the moment. Usually if I give him a link, he usually has no issues coming on the panel, but if it's noisy around him, he'll stay in the chat for the time being because he doesn't want to cause chaos. And Russ Meadows is saying, hello, Dave, on Facebook. He's saying it from YouTube. That's his actual words. It's hello, Dave, on Facebook. Mac Pear says, Your call is very important to us. We'll get to you as soon as we can be bothered to do it. Yeah, that's kind of what I was doing. Now, although we're not doing this particular shadow, that shadow does tell us, because the way the sunlight and the shadow is overlapping, that tells you there's a little bit of a wrinkle right here. And I guess that's where having a little anatomical knowledge helps. So that's why I'm adding a little line there. And we'll go ahead and do the frown line. And we're stopping there because there's nothing under the lower half. It's just to line everything up. This is now I'm gonna go ahead and include it for the sake of including it. But this shadow right here, some people can leave out because it's just the top of the nostril, but it also helps suggest the shape of that bulbous part of his nostril. It's kind of flat compared to some people, so we're going to trace that. We're not going to trace this shadow right here because there's so many shadows. It can be overkill. Excuse me. Now we may decide to leave the shadow I'm working on right now. We may decide to leave that out at the end. But Russ, if at any point it gets quiet enough for you to get on, practice pointing at the webcam. That's funny right there. Now I could continue this line all the way across the bottom of the nose, but it gets ever so slightly lighter there. So any chance you could take advantage of a break in the shadow, go with it. It makes things more stable. Again, if you want to see a train wreck, look at the last 5-10 minutes of the last live stream. And if you're one of those people like me and Russ that you crack up seeing other people crack up, you will probably laugh. Yeah, so there's that. My brain's still in somewhat of a fog. We have 8 people watching on Facebook, 11 watching on YouTube. If you ever are watching one of these live streams on Facebook that got shared to a group, I cannot see real-time comments from Facebook unless they're being asked on my profile live feed. If it's being shared from my profile to a group, I cannot see those in real time. So I'll have to address them after the live stream is over. But I will say, if you're watching on Facebook, the chat is usually most active on YouTube, and the video quality is usually clearer for some reason. And I derailed because I looked at the comments. But if you want to connect on YouTube, I go by Charles Deering Scroll, or you should be able to find me just under Charles Deering. But I hope you'll subscribe and click on the bell. And if you want to connect on Facebook, I go by the Charles Deering, and that's all one word. Alrighty. Can you tell I've said that a few times? Wake up, Charlie. Yes, I call myself Charlie because I have my name memorized. Just going to trace this shadow underneath the brim of the hat. No real defined shape to it, but we do have the eyebrow in there, and not a lot of defined shape to that either because this picture is pretty darn blurry. But as a scroll saw pattern, it could look weird having that sporadic looking eyebrow and then one big bushy dark one, but it is what it is, I guess. Now, I may have been overthinking whether or not this hat shadow is going to clash with the fact that the light's shining off of his forehead above that hat shadow, but it is that way in the photograph, so maybe it'll translate okay. So I am going to trace what we're seeing. I'm just looking around to make sure I haven't forgotten anything else. I don't know how well it shows up to y'all, but I do see a couple crow's feet right here that I'm going to take advantage of. But if you can barely see it, that should make a difference in how thick you draw the line. I barely saw this line, so it's a very thin line. This one's a little thicker, so we drew it thicker. So that's could be obvious to some people, maybe not to others. I'm going to take a swig of Dr. Pepper. Somebody wake me up. Come on now. If y'all don't mind, because I didn't spread this video out to a bunch of people on Facebook, if y'all don't mind sharing this video either right now or later to all the scroll sawing groups, I'd appreciate it, just to help get it out there in case people need the help or want the help, whatever the case may be. Let's go ahead and get that forehead shadow done. Well, I say that, but let's work up to it. There's a little bit of a unique wrinkle here. Not real prominent, but it's there. Same right here. That went from light to dark, or dark to light, whichever your way you're looking at it. We're tracing what we can see. So I don't think I'm covering that up with my hand. Let's see, this is an example of the same wrinkle is light here and dark there. It's dark because it went into the shadow. So I have to break that up a little bit to suggest that it's a continued line, but if I drew it all the way across, it could look funny. And I traced this, but the line didn't come out, so I'm retracing it. Yeah, John Nave says, I see the last video you and Charles lost it. Yes, that was funny. But it had been a while since I lost it on a live stream, so it was a good refresher. Plus, it was good to laugh again. I've been laughing, but yeah, it's been a while since I completely lost it to the point of tears. Someday I'm going to put on YouTube and Facebook a blooper reel all the times I lose it, either on my show or a show or a live stream. Because, if you're anything like me, number one, you need therapy. Number two, it makes you laugh to see other people laugh. And I showed the video to somebody else today, and I was laughing just as hard showing it to them. It's funnier to me because I was there. But yeah, it's sadly that might be one of the things I'm known for on these dang live streams is watch out with Charles, man. He does his live streams, but he'll lose his mind. But it's fun to lose your mind every now and then. It kind of grinds you. But I love doing these live streams. Even if I lost every subscriber, I'd probably keep doing them. Maybe not as often, but it's not about subscribers for me. I just love doing it, and it's fun interacting with people in the chat in real time, more so than putting a recorded video up and just responding to comments. Which is why I started doing live streams. I'm not against doing project videos edited and all that, because I need to still do that with some of my hours-long live streams, and just some people want to see the time-lapse version. And John Nave says, I love it for that reason, Charles. Now you see this is another example of color versus shadow. We know that that's shadow and dark hair, and this is just shadow, but you can't shade. So we're going to treat it like all one shadow. And it should translate okay. Now you can see a shadow line here. I may suggest that, but I'm not going to bring it all the way down to here. Otherwise, we're just going to have a big old blobby mess. So I'm just going to roughly, well, I probably should have been a little more careful on staying on the edge of it. I'm just going to roughly suggest that, but not add a whole lot of definition or shape to it, just the same curve of the hat. So that kind of suggests that we're dealing with a curve. It helps a little bit. I think we're okay everywhere else. But part of the shadow also goes into the darkness of the portion of his hair, so we're just going to put that in there. Now, this pattern may very well go somewhat quickly compared to last night, because we're already almost done with the upper half. Last night took a long time. Keep saying last night. It was actually last night / this morning. But yeah, just the last live stream, just take my word for it. There's some very light hairs here with no real shape to them. It might show up better on screen, but to me, and it's kind of blurry, so I'm just kind of suggesting hair here. No real shape to it. Don't want to do too much because it can make the hair look darker than it is. Things may look more defined to y'all than they do to me. So if you see me, why didn't you trace it the way it is there? Because sometimes I can't say it. But I think we'll be okay. It is just hair. It's not unique to him. It's just the way it's lined up in the photograph. Now, how true to the photograph you go is up to you. Unless it's a custom portrait, you want to get as close to that pattern or those lines as possible. Because if it's a custom portrait or somebody knows, then they'll notice those little things. Because they could have a certain shape to their face or eye. All kinds of stuff. A crooked smile, all kinds of stuff. You want to pay attention to that. So okay, yeah, if it's a custom portrait, pay more attention to what you're seeing versus trying to guess how it's supposed to look. But I do have a video on YouTube called Ideal Guidelines for Custom Portraits and Scroll Saw Patterns or something like that. Just look up Ideal Guidelines. You should be able to find it, but it tells you at least what I look for doing a custom pattern as well as whatchamacallit, custom cutting, portrait, finished piece. And I did spread it all over Facebook today that I do custom patterns. And yes, I said do. Steve Good told me I should be charging more, but I already have trouble getting work, so to speak. So I will be raising my base price at some point, but right now it's $50 minimum, and occasionally a little higher. I got a hair stuck to my pen. And our pilot hole for this one, that was just me going off the line, so don't worry about that. Pilot hole for this one will be where the hat meets the hair. I mean the ear. I knew what I was thinking, it just didn't come out of my mouth right. And I stopped that line there because this is another example of the advantage of having the lower piece here. Actually, we can make that all one cut, so never mind. But the advantage of having the lower piece here is knowing that this is where pilot hole could be and bring the ear up to here, but I'm going to go ahead and make that all one line. But we can't draw it all because not all of it's on this half of the sheet of paper. All right. Deciding where I want to go next, which common sense would say to do the ear. Now there's another example of dark and dark. There's two different shades of shadow. So I got to decide how I want to do that. And I decide better when I have Dr. Pepper in me. So, see that easy segue we did? Now, at any moment, there could be a pop quiz about why did I do this? Why did I do that? That's just for the people that watch all my live streams to see if they're paying attention. Okay. How do I want to proceed? I don't know. It'd be easy to say trace that whole thing. But there's that little bit of light, goes from the dark to the lighter shade. So that's why sometimes it's easy for people to just say, okay, trace the whole thing. So I think might probably do that because it's not that prominent. Well, it is prominent, but you know what I mean, hopefully, because I don't know what I mean. But when it comes to ears, it's not one size fits all because ears are as unique to people as fingerprints are. A lot of people don't know that, but it is. Something is. I'm dragging a crumb somewhere. Not a whole lot of detail showing on that ear. Yeah, there is. See, Mr. Decisive talking. Now, that may translate funny, but it was there, so I added it. And you always have that little line where the cheek meets the ear. If you go too far down, it could look like it's an artificial ear. Oh, I suddenly got a bunch of comments that showed up. Sorry about that. Mac Pierce says, Charles, it's really hard to get paid what your work is worth. When it's something that you do yourself, people just want Walmart prices for everything these days. Yes, sir, I get it. But also, I'm lucky in that I'm severely broke, but luckily I design patterns. So if I could be one of those people passionate as heck about scrolling, but too broke to go out there and buy patterns. So thank God I designed my own. So I get it, spending 50 or more dollars on a single pattern. I get it. It's hard for people. Russ Meadows says he's lurking. Mac Pierce, beware the quiet Russ. Quiet Russes are dangerous Russes. Yes, sir, they are. Oh, okay. Russ Meadows kept me up late. I'm kidding. Almost done with the upper half. I think the only thing we have to do is here and here and suggest the shape of that, and that's not hard to do. So this will not be one of those 4-hour live streams. And I already went off the line. All I had to do was do that one little curve, and I went off the line. But we'll clean that up later. Now, we could make this our pilot hole. Well, either way, that's going to be our pilot hole. But what I was debating is whether or not to make this brim line come off of here or off of here. But since we can make it intersecting lines. Now, it's not mandatory to add this seam right here, but it is in the photograph, so I may go ahead and add it. But I'm going to go ahead and make the brim line come off of this side rather than the hat band. And there's a little bit of shadow there too, but I'm just going to treat it as a single line. And I don't want to mess up the shape of it, is why I'm going so slow. Less editing. You really don't have to add that same line, but I'm trying to decide if I think it's worth it to add it. It could add dimension, so it wouldn't hurt. There's another thing where I want to get the shape of it right, and there is shadow under here, but it would look funny, I think, because we got dark shadow here, a little bit lighter shadow here. I'm just going to probably do the seam, and the seam is probably not necessary, but we're going to do it anyways. Aussie Man says, even harder for our Aussie dollar is so bad compared to you guys. That makes sense, sir. And that is why Aussie Man has not spent $1,000 on woodenvisions.com. Of course, neither have you local folks. That's one of those playful guilt trips. Yeah. Again, you do not have to add this line that I'm adding because it's just a cowboy hat, but trying to stay true to the photograph. And I got a little bit wiggly on this line, but it's okay. But it is just a cowboy hat. It's not going to be crystal clear. Now, if you want to add a pilot hole for this, I guess technically you could, to make it slightly thicker at the beginning of it, or you could make a shadow here, make that all colored in, and that could connect the two lines. But I'm going to ignore that for the sake of the pattern, just do the original idea. So we are actually done with the upper half, unless I forgot something. I'm checking to make sure I didn't forget something. I am not going to do this weird shadow here because it may not translate. Well, no. Okay, see, that's me changing my mind, because this is another advantage to looking at the lower half. The shadow is more prominent on the underside of the nose, and it kind of suggests the nose. So I'm going to actually include that. Maybe not the whole thing on the bridge, but at least the end of the nose here. And this may not translate well. We'll find out together. Josh Grover finally back. No, actually, Josh, it's on me. We've been doing these weird late night, early morning live streams. Welcome back, Mr. Josh Grover. Okay, so yeah, and that's how I feel about that. So we're going to take off the upper half, and then we'll go jump right into the lower half. By golly, that's a drinking-ware. Come on now. I hope y'all are sharing this video all over Facebook and the internet. By God. Well, let's take off the lower half first. So this will not be one of those 4-hour live streams. I'm sorry to break it to you. When I originally scheduled yesterday's live stream, or this morning, whatever the heck time it was, I was going to do Clint Eastwood and this picture. But that Clint Eastwood took way longer than it should have, so I edited the thumbnail and description, at least on YouTube. I don't think it translated over into Facebook. Josh Gerber says, how you feels after the weekend? Feeling all right. A lot better than I was last week. Thank you for asking. Things were going too smoothly, so something in life had to be chaotic, and, hey, wake up. Okay. Stanley Langford says, howdy, bros. I watched the rest of the Clint Eastwood pattern. Very cool. On another note, I just wanted to say thanks for all the help you have given me to become a better scroll saw artist. I love learning from your streams. Thank you, Stanley. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you can live through if you watched the whole video, Stanley, then you probably saw me and Russ Meadows lose it at the very end. But if you can live through that part, then I'm glad you learned something from it, because that was a hoot. So that's the way our upper half looks. Let's hold them together. Give you an idea of half pattern, half photo. If I can line it up right, it's about like that. That's what we're dealing with. There's not a whole lot of detail there. That's probably considered a simple pattern to a lot of people. And thank you, by the way, Stanley. I don't know if I said that or if I was just thinking it. We're going to jump right into the lower half here. Get us another clean sheet of paper, because a dirty sheet would be stupid. Got to get the carbon paper or you're wasting your time. And yes, there are times I've done a pattern onto the back sheet, to the back of what I was tracing, because I had it turned like this instead of dark side down. So, that makes you feel real smart when that happens. But it's rare, because I'm usually doing such intelligent things. I know. I was surprised too. Okay. Okay. Same process as the upper half. But I'm very glad you found value in some of these videos, Mr. Langford. That's a lot of why I do it. It's not all about me getting myself out there, but it doesn't hurt if it helps. All right. Again, if you're just joining, we have a dark colored shirt, but there's shadows on that dark colored shirt. So we're going to concentrate on the shadows. So it is, unless there's a method I have not figured out yet, it's impossible as a pattern to make that shirt look dark, because you're either doing the shadows or the color. If you're doing the color, then this whole shirt will be colored cut out, except for that where that light shining off that color there. But I'm going to do the shadows because I have this thing for realism. I know it's weird, but so as far as being true to the photo, it'd be a little hard there because the shirt will not look dark when we're done, unless you stain it or paint it. But I'm referring to the pattern itself. Oh, I'm getting cotton mouth. What's up with that? Well, I know what's up with that. I have side effects to steroid medication, and why not slap the camera there? Because that's what we do. Mr. Russ Meadows, folks and gentlemen. Folks and gentlemen, I got issues. What's up, Mr. Meadows?
Hello, everybody.
You've been practicing on that pointing there? Man. Oh, God, don't get me going again. Okay.
You only got half a pattern left. Come on now.
Yes, sir. Oh, diddly. Okay. Where are we at? Okay, keep it together, Charlie. We got this. Got this far. Are you like me when you think back on something, it makes you laugh just as hard? Or
oh yeah.
Okay, because even when I'm telling people about it, I'm still laughing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I laughed.
And
it was a rough one.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest you and I have laughed in a long time. You usually laugh hard, but you were turning red, and I was turning purple. I think I was telling Karen about it, and I was losing my breath again. She was barely grinning, but she said, "Honey, you were there. It's funnier to you." Oh, great!
Mac says, "Get him going." Don't. Let's don't. We got a half a pattern left. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Josh, John, Mac.
If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, look at the last about 5-10 minutes of the last live stream, and you'll see me and Russ losing it, all because he couldn't point at the dang camera. Okay. Okay, we're good.
I'm pointing at a spot away from the camera lens. There you go.
But it looks lined up, so put a marker, a little Sharpie dot or something on your.
I can't. It's a black bezel, so I put a piece of tape and I point at that.
Okay, yeah, do that.
Hey, look, there you go.
So you look like you're halfway pointing correctly. Okay. Okay. Oh, I need to stretch my back a little bit. Okay, since you won't be on screen, you can practice all you want. I'll be cracking up down here because I can see your thumbnail, but yeah, there's that. So, and that's what started off at the end of the last live stream, is that I took it off of screen sharing or just myself, and because when you stop screen sharing, it automatically shows anybody in the Hangout or the panel. And
right.
We busted Russ practicing pointing at the camera. Oh God. Okay.
Max says, "Get him going." John says, "Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't you do it."
Yeah.
Dang it! I forgot to cut off the white part on this, so I'm going to use the desktop again because that's what we do. Because we take care of our stuff.
No.
Appreciate you joining us once again. Mac Pierce, too much gyrating. Oh Lordy. Russ Meadows is actually, dang it, I did it again. Wes Balco is actually having a date night. You said we're still here. He'll drop by, but yeah. And I had been doing fine calling you Russ and him Wes, but the second he came into that chat, I accidentally called him Russ or you Wes or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it is when there's multiple people. I forget who's who.
Well, I'll tell you just outright. All my life, people that whenever ask me what my name, look at that face.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you go out with me.
Hell to the no.
How you doing? I'm the Duke. I'm rich. And that's how animation got started.
Oh God, that sounds like Beavis right there.
Yeah,
it looked like him too a little bit.
That's how animation got started. I'll get you, my pretty. Okay, come on, Charlie, grow up. Come on now. Lawrence Alders says, "I'm going to have a lot of lag. Just had a rough day. Hi, everybody. Sorry about your rough day, sir." Yeah, so that's yeah. Okay, I had way too much fun with that. So what? Oh, I got issues. Okay, let's get some tape here, and we'll tape that on the upper half. We will be cutting off some of that upper half because we don't need what's hanging off the paper there. I'll tell you what.
Line it up, man. Line it up.
Just line that stuff up, baby.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, thank you.
No, but like I was telling you, all through my life, when somebody would ask me what my name was, I say Russ, Rusty, anything like that. If I say Russell, they say Wesley.
Well, no,
Every
for
time
me,
if I say Russ, they say Wes. I said, if I say Rusty, they say Wesley.
I don't know why I do it. I just happen to know a Wes and a Russ, and you usually when here together when I have that mistake, and I don't know why I do that because the names are not similar except for their one
They're
syllable.
similar. They are similar in the fact that everybody has said that my whole stinking life.
And
It's
I don't
like
understand why.
I don't have a speech impediment. I said Russ, and they come up with Wes every time.
Well, who was it yesterday? You were saying it starts with an E and his name started with a W. Who was
Yeah,
that?
I was totally off on that one. I told you there was a guy on the back of Tim the Tool Man Taylor's house.
Oh yeah, Wilson.
Across the fence.
You
Wilson.
said starts with an E and his name was Wilson. Yeah. You were so close. I get it.
I wasn't. I'm not normally that far off, but by God, I was off that time.
It was on the tip of my tongue, but okay, I need to stretch it.
His name was Earl.
His real name?
I thought his name was Earl, but it might have been Wilson.
Or maybe
Earl.
Well,
my wife said it was Wilson. It was Wilson, but I want to say, was the first name Earl? Who was Earl? There was an Earl somewhere.
Earl might have been his real name. I don't know.
I remember his real name, but the other night, and I've lost it again. It wasn't Earl.
Okay, this is something that may not translate well, but we're going to go with what we see. Now, this time I know you can see the dang teeth.
Yes, sir.
And there's a big gap in there. That gap might look funny.
Yeah. Well, it's there. You got to do what you got to do.
My name is John Wayne. I do a lot of movies. Okay, sorry. That was a weird impression. Lawrence Alder says, call me anything, but don't call me late for dinner. Alrighty then. You can call me Ray. You can call me Jay.
But don't call me Ray J.
That was a beer commercial.
When I say Russ, I say Russ. Must be something wrong with me. I guess, Bill, I'm just flat out going to tell you that's exactly how it's been almost my entire life when I meet somebody that I don't know, or with somebody, if I'm going up to a counter and ordering some food, they'll ask for a name, and I say Russ, and they put down Wes.
But see, I never called you
Wes, and I never go get the food because I'm looking for Russ.
I never called you Wes until you were here at the same time as Wes Balco.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I mean, so I don't know why they're making the mistake, but I made the mistake because y'all were in the room together and they're similar.
And they're similar. When you hear it with the ear,
yeah,
they're a little bit similar. And if you got any kind of a speech impediment, you can't get it.
Yeah,
it'll come out as one or the other.
I don't have a specific speech impediment. Talking in general is hard for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just an 11-hour live show.
Yes. Yeah. That's how we roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, Beverly, I guess. Don't type too loud. What of all people to say that to you? Type kind of loud.
Well, that's why I got my finger over the mute button just in case I have to hit the keyboard.
Okay. Again, now, for those that weren't here when I brought it up, I am suddenly crashing tired. Not passing out, just tired. It is impossible to make this look like a dark shirt unless you only do that light shining right here and cut out all that.
Right.
But it is a dark colored shirt, but we cannot translate that. And I prefer details, so we're going to do the shadows here. But we need to get his nose and mouth and brown lines done. And so let's do that. Now again, this nose shadow may not translate well, but I traced it because it was an option. If I didn't trace it, I would have had to draw it in freehand on the computer screen, and I don't do that well.
The tough part for me on that would be his mouth because he's got real thin lips.
Yeah, he does.
It's very hard for me to handle those. Trying to draw them in.
Well, for me, what I do, I mean, because they're dark in the photo, but what I do is I generally just trace the top of them and then gamble from there.
Okay.
Hashtag bang bang computer says us gesture.
You don't like fish lips.
I don't know what she called it fish lips for because it's chicken lips.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She forgot. It's chicken lips. I
Well,
don't know where fish lips came in. Fish lips.
Better than duck lip selfies.
Well, yeah, but that's what I tell her. I see somebody out about. I say, how can a woman kiss on that when they ain't got no lips? Chicken lips.
Yeah.
Fish lips.
I heard
Yeah,
it.
she's laughing. I'm gonna have to put the mute button on her. She's laughing too much.
Okay. I think there's a lot of spouses that wish their spouse had a mute button on them.
Mine does. She wishes I had one. A mute button to mute me.
Yeah.
There you go.
See, she held back on that, I could tell.
Yeah, she put a lot of emphasis on that laughing.
Yeah. Now, we really are just tracing what we can see here. There's no inventing here. I just suggested the top of the upper lip because if we made it dark, it could look like lipstick. And that's another gamble you take on mouth. But we also want to suggest that there's teeth in there besides the gaps between them. Somebody wrote to me. Apparently they don't know I'm doing a live feed, but I'll get to it. Now I'm adding a little bit of lines here just to help suggest where the top lip is going over the teeth, but I'm not going to go all the way across because we'd have a bunch of floating teeth and we don't want that. There's a little bit of a gap right there. It could be a tooth. It may not translate well. We may come back and decide, never mind, I've already drawn it too far anyway. Because nothing in this photograph is clearly focused. I saw you turning your head again.
You did? I'm like this already. You gonna pay for my chiropractic bill?
Something like that.
Always
Right? I still got to pay for your moderating duties or your co-hosting duties. I really do want to do that. You keep saying don't worry about it, but I really do want to.
There's no sense in that.
Yeah,
This is fun.
Then nobody could ever say, man, he does all that for you. You don't do nothing for him.
Then everybody be trying to get on the panel. I can't have that.
That's true. I definitely can't have that.
Well, with StreamYard, you can have 6.
Yes, sir.
Counting yourself.
I think we've gotten close to that when we had the Team Scroll Saw. What did I do that for? That was a weird shadow. That looked like he has a cavity going on. See, some things don't translate well. I'm telling you. There's a gap. Different weird shadows here. We haven't had to play with that mouth. You sure got a pretty mouth. Now, if I want y'all to pay attention to this because it may not translate well. Number one, he looks like he has buck teeth in here, but also, you see how the shadow, the lip line looks like it goes short of the edge of the mouth. So if that smile looks crooked, remember that it was crooked in the photograph. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble. But I'm going by what I see. I may just do part of it because I don't want it to look crooked. It might look better like that. No, see, he really does look like he has buck teeth, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the picture he does.
So I may have to actually clean up his teeth for the sake of a usable scroll saw pattern.
It does look like he's got what they call a gap tooth.
Yeah, something like that. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like that, but I mean, that's the way the picture looks.
Yeah, and see, that's the disadvantage is the average person doesn't see me doing a live stream of the source photo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, daggity blabbit, what happened to his mouth?
And that's how they'd say it in Texas, folks.
Yeah.
Now, see, Charlie can sound like that, but I can't.
Now, the only reason I added a line here, that line wasn't even really there, but the shadows indicated that there was a little, you see the light there and the dark there. So rather than do this big old blotchy thing like we did on Clint Eastwood, I just did a little line to suggest that. Oh. my body is treating me like it's 4 in the morning, but it's only 8 p.m. And I took a late nap. I shouldn't be this tired. Mac Pierce says, his smile isn't crooked, Charles is. That's funny. Lawrence says, oh, wait. Josh Grover says it was crooked because you had the picture crooked. That's funny. But yeah, I'm really scared that mouth is not going to come out right. I'm probably going to have to actually invent the teeth to look a little more normal. Lawrence Alder said, Charles, is it better to use a black and white photo or color? You're the second person to ask me that. I was thinking on your photo of my dad, I would want to use color. Yeah, it's up to you, Lawrence, but certain things do better using color. It probably wouldn't hurt to use color just by default, because then you can pick and choose what detail you add. In black and white, you don't always know what is what. So as a safe go-to, use color, but whatever you find easiest. Because there's different times I find color matters and other times it doesn't. I hope I answered that right. Welcome back, Russ.
I just like my little.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if I go to trace these shadows, it could look chaotic too, dagnabbit. Because the easy way would just be to finish this chin shadow right here. But if I trace those shadows, it could look weird. What do you think?
You asking me?
Yes, sir. Because
You know what happened last night when you asked me? We were here 4 hours.
well, yeah, but it ended up looking okay. Because if I
Yeah.
have people to bounce ideas off of, then I can say, okay, what do you think? And this is for the chat as well. Do y'all think I should add these shadows here in the neck? I don't think I should.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want anybody to say, well, you're the artist. And
Right.
I'm think that's an example of me thinking out loud, because this one was darker, so I added that. This is obviously the bandana thing, but I think if I add that, it could throw it off quite a bit.
I don't really think it needs it.
All right. Lawrence Alder says, thanks. That's a big help as far as that uniform and whether to do it color. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. And you're welcome. Sorry, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh, you cut them. But yeah, I'm going to leave out the rest of the shadows on the neck. It could add too much detail. I know, Charles saying too much detail. That's
I think it'd be probably okay without it.
yeah, sure. And this will probably one of my more simpler detailed patterns, if that makes sense.
John said he'd leave it out, and Josh says, do we need to think?
Well, thinking it can be dangerous.
It can be dangerous.
Yes. Okay. Everybody says
Herb says leave them out too. So I guess everybody's in agreement.
all right. Now there are feedback, and a part of this is if these scroll saw patterns ever sell, then I have more than one opinion other than my own of what they think it would look best, and that could potentially help future sales. Because if I had added that, well, I would have bought it, but I didn't like them neck shadows. Go ahead.
Well, I tell you what, everybody that made a comment on here, when he sells one, be looking for your cut, baby.
Yeah.
No.
It'd be $59.99. How about that for $1?
That's right.
I haven't even included the Clint Eastwood's on the website yet. I all I did today was that live stream and nap.
Yeah, you kept me up too late last night. I heard you say I did you. No, you kept me up too late.
Oh, that's funny right there. But I'm glad we got to lose it like that, because it's been a while since we did it on the live stream, and it's been a while since I laughed that hard. It's always good to laugh hard, by God.
Yes, sir. Josh said put the shadow in over the bandana, but leave out the other side. That's what was done.
Okay.
Well, you've already got that.
Yeah, I think. I want to do this one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Unless y'all know a secret I don't, there is no way other than completely filling in that shirt to make it look dark. But when I have a choice between cutting it all out or adding detail, you know which way I'm gonna go. Okay.
I said we might all blow up if we think too much.
Yes, sir. It can be dangerous. A lot of smoke in the room. But see, this is how fast I thought the Clint Eastwood one would go. That's why I scheduled 2 in that one live feed.
Well, you ended up making 2 of Clint Eastwood, so
That's true. So it was kind of a twofer. I'm going to check YouTube, see if they're protesting me yet.
well, they might not before, but since I'm here, they might be.
No, they didn't. They aren't.
Give them time. They haven't realized I'm here yet.
I gained 1 subscriber, lost 1 subscriber. That's just me keeping up. I'm not losing sleep over it. Okay.
Well, you still leaving?
Yes, sir. So the day ended and started the same. Well, it's not over yet, by golly. Still have not heard from you know who, and I'll stop it there and drop that topic. But yeah, oh well, we tried.
Yeah.
Stuff happens. Where's problems to have, my friend? And there's a little bit of wrinkling going on in here, but not prominent enough to even worry about. I think we have enough detail. Yeah, but this one could be somewhat popular as a simple pattern. I say that, but that mouth, I think it's going to look really crappy. So I'm going to have to work on that. Even tracing it, you saw me trace it. It looks bucktooth. He looked like, oh, I'm John Wayne.
Yeah. Well, as it looks right there, if you are finished with it, right? You've done it. Okay. Yeah. Well, it looks good like it is. Of course, you got the picture there, and I know that, but it still looks good. I think it'd be fine. It is as far as the picture goes, anyway.
Yeah. And there again, on the website, people don't see the picture I worked from, so they might be saying, why did he even bother to put that one on the site? My God.
Josh Grover asked, is Penelope getting better?
They can't find Penelope.
I haven't been able to find her. I think they moved her to a nursing home, didn't tell me.
Well, that hurts witness protection.
Well, I was preferring to assume that she'd been in a coma. So
yeah,
I went with that.
As far as this, now, although y'all can see the photograph, as I scroll saw pattern, what we're doing here, or what you're seeing, is me yawning. Your life's too short for all the bull mess, says Lawrence Aldridge.
It does.
Now, you can't see a prominent line where that color is going right through here, but your mind knows that color is going through, and that's the beauty of shadows. That was me trying to sound like an art snob. I will give a free scroll saw pattern to whoever can guess what song I'm whistling. That's it. That's all you get. First person to guess it gets 1 free scroll saw pattern of a $10 or less value.
I didn't have a choice.
Well, you don't.
Josh said moved her to the psych board. I said, no, I don't know about that, but Lawrence says she might be rabbit soup by now.
Yes, for those just joining, never knowing what we're talking about, Penelope is a rabbit, a fictional rabbit, because we do serious topics here. Somebody, I will give you a hint, it was a country song that I was whistling.
That's why I didn't know it.
I knew you probably wouldn't, because you don't like country.
John said he don't have a clue.
Well, come on now.
Sing a few words.
No, because that'll give it away. Now, if nobody guesses it, I will slowly hint at it what it is, like who the group or singer is.
So it's a group.
Mindless Noise. That's very funny.
Herb Hoover says she wore a yellow ribbon.
That is incorrect. It's much newer than that, but it's still old, but not that old.
Is it Alabama?
Oh,
The
yeah.
group?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how do you know that?
Who? Me?
Yeah, who guessed that?
I did.
You don't even listen to country. How'd you know it was Alabama?
I just had a feeling when you said it was old, but not as old as the yellow ribbon one.
It is a group, and that group is Alabama.
Can I go ahead and just claim winnings for that?
Okay, you win half a pattern. I'm surprised nobody guessed it, but yeah, it is Alabama. But the guess was as to who it is and what the song is.
I know.
But go ahead and guess if you want to. I'm surprised you guessed Alabama because you don't listen.
I saw something on them on Facebook the other day, and it said country music ain't like this anymore.
That was me.
Well, no, it might have been you. It might have been somebody else.
Well, I did. The song I did was "Feel So Right," but that's good old.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah, that's the one I posted.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's where I saw it then. I thought I saw it on something else. It may have been yours.
Well, the song, it is too late for anybody guessing. The song was "Angels Among Us."
There you go, folks.
Ooh, I believe there are angels.
He said, Josh is whistling tunes. We have a better chance to figure it out. Whistle in tune.
I was in tune, dag blabbit.
Lawrence says, Yellow Rose of Texas, but Johnny Lee, no.
Yellow Rose of Texas.
Mindless noise.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Angels Among Us is the song I was whistling.
John said he's seen that. So it must have been you that I saw it from.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know, Facebook puts these things up and, from the blast from the past.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that's where it might have been. I saw it, but I did see it.
You just don't hear country like that anymore. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Another group, they moved to Christian music more exclusively, but another beautiful, beautiful harmony group is Diamond Rio.
I know of them.
They are good.
I've heard their name.
Sawyer Brown didn't do that much for me. They won Star Search once, and they had some songs.
Yeah.
It's some country they don't make it good no more. I didn't sound hick at all, did it? I don't sound good no more.
I kind of liked Rascal Flatts when they first came out.
They're decent. They have some good ones, but sometimes they sound too much like a boy band. I'm just more into traditional classic country.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt, there's two songs that are my favorite by Conway Twitty. I'm being random here. Is That's My Job. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. I cry when I sing it because I'm thinking of my dad. He hadn't passed yet, but he's not far from it. But and there's another one, Crazy in Love. Crazy in Love, I think, is what made me start appreciating Conway Twitty.
Yeah.
And
there is no country anymore. It's country hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
It's country hillbilly rock. That's pretty much the truth.
If you want a tearjerker and you're close to your dad, or your dad has passed or whatever, check out Conway Twitty's "That's My Job." That's a beautiful song. That's
an example of another old rock and roller that switched to country.
Conway Twitty?
Yes, sir. He started out. He was a rock singer.
I did not know
but
that.
It was not screaming rock like they play nowadays.
Yeah, what they call now, like growling crap.
Yeah, he's rock and roll, and he immediately, not immediately, but real quickly switched over to country, and he made himself bigger in country than anybody.
Did a lot of duets with Loretta Lynn.
Oh yeah. Kenny Rogers and Conway Twitty, and in the later stages, what's his name? Hootie and the Blowfish.
Darius Rucker.
That's him. Yeah, he switched over.
He switched over to country. Yes, sir.
I think he still does both on occasions. I will see something on Facebook about Hootie going out on tour. So
I like him better as a Hootie and the Blowfish. I mean, I can't get into his style of country, but it's nothing against him. Yeah.
Oh, a lot of people liked it. He's won awards for it, so it must be all right. But I like Hootie myself.
I mean, he's not bad. It's just not my style of country.
Yeah.
I could talk country and sing country all night, even if I suck at it. I love country music, classic country music, and I'm a big fan of ballads.
Yeah.
We've probably been over this before because we've had some of our karaoke with Charlie live streams. Didn't plan it that way, but it ended up that way. That was some of our most active chats is when we were talking about music, by golly.
Yeah,
I love how your wife chimes in on, I know the answer. It's kind of cute.
She'll pop an answer if she thinks she's right. She'll pop it out there. But, the old country like Merle Haggard and all them say, I liked Merle Haggard. I wasn't big into country, but I liked his singing.
Well, he's got that rich, deep voice. Yeah.
That's kind of why I like that Josh Turner a little bit. I like that deep voice.
Yeah, like it. It's a long black train down the line.
Oh, here we go.
Maybe lock the door and
There you go. That's one I like the most.
put the music on as soft and slow.
What about Kenny Rogers, John, and Garth Brooks? What about them?
I like Gus Brooks.
Garth Brooks
I
wanted to
think he's
sing rock and roll.
He might be asking our opinion on these.
Oh,
Uh,
what about Kenny? What about him? Brooks and Dunn. You going to keep going? What about them? Are you
Brooks-
saying something about them, or are you just asking our opinion?
Brooks and Dunn, I'm up and down about. They got some good ones, but I don't know. Garth Brooks, I like a lot of 80. I love a lot of 80s and 90s country is my favorite, but I love some of the classics too.
Yeah.
Then there's hard to pick a favorite from Kenny Rogers. He has one called 20 Years Ago. That's a beautiful song. Conway was going to get out of country music until he got with Loretta. Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't either. Well, it was a good thing he did get with it because it saved his career then.
Gilsel?
Oh, John said, yes, sorry, what is your opinion? Well, I like Garth Brooks and I like Kenny Rogers. Brooks and Dunn, I can take them or leave them.
Yeah, same with me.
They're okay in some respects. Some of the songs I've heard that I'm okay with, but like I said, I'm not a really a country music person per se.
I definitely like some Kenny Rogers. He has one song called, and what didn't get a lot of radio play, but I don't know Conway's real name.
I did, but I can't remember it now.
I did too. One of my favorite didn't get a lot of airplay is "The Vows Go Unbroken" by Kenny Rogers, and also that song 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Life was so much easier.
Yeah, well, he was rock and roll when he was with the First Edition.
Vince Gill was once with Pure Prairie League, and then he went solo.
Yeah, and then he started singing with the Eagles.
Oh, I didn't know that. Now,
yeah, that was recently.
Who was the other one? Kenny Rogers, wasn't he with?
He was with the First Edition.
First Edition, that's who it was.
Yep.
Rolla. I know some groups started out as gospel. I believe that's what the Oak Ridge Boys and possibly the Statler Brothers did too.
Yeah.
They don't make them like them anymore either because
they sure don't. Them guys can harmonize.
Yes, sir. I love, and Diamond Rio is probably the best at harmony, but I love a lot of classic Alabama. Diamond Rio is underrated, but they moved to Christian and it's not as mainstream as far as it goes. But the reason why they went to Christian music is they figured most of their messages tended to be about God and religion and in general, so that's why they moved over. But they are very talented with harmony and just beautiful, beautiful voices. An old classic one is Shenandoah.
Yeah.
Ghost in This House. And
now, Harold Jenkins, that was Conway Twitty's real name?
Wow.
I would not have remembered that one.
Me neither. Who?
Wow. That's a new one to me. I thought I knew it, but evidently I didn't remember that one.
I wish Kenny Rogers hadn't gotten that plastic surgery. I mean, it's not up to me.
Same here. He didn't do himself any favors.
No, he had that.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and at the risk of sounding not straight, he had that classic rugged, older, decent-looking guy, and then he went and looked all plastic. And Dolly Parton did the same thing.
Yeah.
Statler started with Johnny Cash. Yeah, I believe they were backups to him, weren't they? Well, I know at least they did that song, Daddy sang bass, Mama sang tenor.
Yeah.
That was the Statlers.
Statlers were first, and then the Oak Ridge Boys came after. And I think the Oak Ridge Boys had more fame, I guess, than the Statler brothers did.
I think
but they're both good groups if you like that kind of music.
Yeah, right offhand, my favorite Statler Brothers song is Elizabeth, or Oh Elizabeth. Oh Elizabeth.
Everybody knows Oak Ridge Boys, Elvira.
Elvira.
That boy could get low, you know it?
Baba, mama. I can go deeper if I breathe inwards. That's how I do an impression of him is mama. Yeah, I used to sing with a couple guys doing karaoke. We actually felt like celebrities because everybody would get on the dance floor when we would sing Oakridge Boys, because I had a guy that did harmony, I did lead, and another guy did bass, and I would do the "I that look like heaven," and that's me not trying to sound like him. I was trying to sound funny there, so don't say, "Oh my God, you got on stage with that." Yeah, no, that wasn't the case. I'm shy when it comes to singing good. Sang with Johnny for a long time. Yeah, so sad that he got plastic surgery. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, but for some reason on these little live streams, I cannot sing good because I'm too shy.
Yeah.
I have been known to sing good. I'm not saying I sing good all the time, but I've had my moments. And I'm sorry that during all of this, I think I finished the scroll slot better.
Folks, y'all didn't even see it.
Sorry. I'm making
Make
sure.
sure to check it over.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's be cocky and just run.
And he's tossing it, folks, so you know he thinks he's got it.
Well, he thinks he does, yes. Now, why is your head crooked?
Well, you keep turning the thing, and I keep trying to look at it straight.
Kenny Rogers did have a few movies. He had that one, Ace. He was a race car driver or something. Had a bunch of kids. I don't remember. So I had the word six in it or Ace or something in there. I don't remember. He didn't do a whole lot of movies. He did a movie version of The Gambler.
The Gambler, that's the one I remember.
Yeah, that mouth is not going to look good.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I really can't. Well, I'll put it with the head and we'll see what it looks like, boss.
Well, there's a little bit of getting. Sorry. Don't mess up the mouth. The mouth is already messed up. That mouth is going to be a booger. So if there's any area of this that we're going to struggle with, it's the mouth. Other than that, I think it'll be a pretty good pattern here.
Yeah. Looks good, though. Everything but the mouth. I'm scared of that myself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I'm trying to look and see, but like you said, if you drew that the bottom part of the upper lip, all his teeth would fall out.
Yeah,
just
sure.
about.
Absolutely. So we may have to clean that up when we go and start screen sharing. This is where your job is most important. That's what you're getting paid for.
I'd like a little bit of monetary remuneration, if you don't mind. Yep, Coward of the County. That was a good song.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking of Coward of the County when I talked about the movie version. I didn't see the Gambler movie, I don't think. He's not a terrible actor. One of the people, if you ever have a chance to watch a movie that has a bunch of singers in it, don't watch Stagecoach. That is the stupidest, crappiest acting. It had all the Highwaymen dudes in it.
Chris Christopherson was in that?
Yeah, he's a decent actor, but man, those other ones can't act to save their lives. John Snyder from Dukes of Hazzard was in there. He's a good actor.
I liked him.
He's a dang good. Have you ever heard him country sing? That dude can sing.
He sang that song that Elvis did. It's Now or Never. No. He sang that song, and he did a real good job on it.
He does dang good country music. If you ever get a chance, that guy's got a awesome country.
He does. I heard him sing that "It's Now or Never," and I said, "Man, I really like that."
Yeah, the thing things too, but not my style. Go ahead.
Right. The thing between them on his other boy, Bo and Luke.
Yeah.
They both wanted to be singers, and they both tried. And the other one, he didn't do that well.
Yeah, Tom Wopat is the other one.
He didn't. Yeah, he did not do as well trying to sing.
Yeah.
He didn't have the voice that John does.
John Snyder.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Go ahead. I got to mute.
Okay. John Snyder wanted to concentrate on acting, is why he no longer sings, if I have my research correct. But yeah, he was a dang good singer. Tom Wopat, not so much. That's just my opinion. clean up some of the scanning here. If anybody comments, I won't be able to see it because I'm inside the program. So hopefully when Russ gets back, he will grace us with the comments and questions, which are probably country music related, but we're talking. That's all right. Doesn't have to be on topic. But if anybody does have any scroll saw or pattern related, oh man, I forgot to trace something right in there. Oh, poop. Oh, well, we can wing it. It's not severely important. I'm just cleaning up smudges and crap that I don't want in there. And then we'll put both of these halves together. That mouth is going to look like holy heck. All right. Right now, I'm just cleaning up some of the lines I know I didn't want in there. And I'm going to have to add some back because I got a little too thin there, but all right. And the comments and questions will be caught up on once Russ Meadows gets back, earns his paycheck. That mouth is going to look like crap. I forgot to zoom in and get the word. Again, I'm not teaching this part, I'm just showing it. Life is so much easier.
Okay, I'm back for a minute. And what does that, John, mean? You mean Russ, right? What does that mean?
What are you talking about?
In the comments.
Did I call you?
You must have said something, and he said, you mean Russ, right?
I must have said Wes. I'm probably. Dang it.
Because I missed it.
I missed it too, and I said it. I guess I said Wes again because I'm a dork stick.
Jesus Christ.
No, you can call me Charles.
Charles will do fine.
You noticed on both of those Native American live streams I did, I got the most thumbs down on those. I wonder, and again, I don't care about getting thumbs down, but it makes me wonder, was somebody offended that I did Native Americans? I don't know, but
That's
I don't
kind of
usually
weird.
get that many thumbs down. So it's been a while.
That's kind of weird because the patterns came out fine.
Yeah, sure. And I tell you, I don't. You just can't please everybody. I tell you what, that mouth is gonna be a chaotic mess.
Yeah, Mac, welcome back for a minute, Russ.
Yeah.
I told you I'd be back for a minute. Welcome back for a minute, Russ.
Now I can say, although I'm tired as holy poop, what we're going to do here. Go ahead.
God says he still loves you.
Well, that's good. Although I'm tired as holy poop, I am going to start another live stream to do this one. And I'll talk about it as soon as we're done with remind me to talk about that before we end the live stream. Please. If you could
talk about the firefighter one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're going to combine the two halves right now and look at how funny the mouth looks.
Yeah. Have you ever done this and decided that you really didn't like how the mouth looks and nothing you can do about it? You just scrapped the whole project?
More than once. There's actually one John Wayne design I have out there that I don't like, but it was simpler, and I figured people might like it. I don't even know if it's on my website. I think overall this will look like John Wayne, but his mouth is going to need work. So I don't think it'll be a total disappointment, but we are heading towards chaos. And that never happens here, does it?
No, hardly ever.
Well, except maybe once every live stream. Okay, so we're going to crop that. And then we're going to name it, and then we'll do 70 versions of it in case we can't make a decision. All right.
John says Josh and Herb are quiet and it's scary. But it is scary with Josh being quiet because Herb's always quiet.
Yeah, Herb's usually always quiet. Now we're going to do the, what you call it here. We want to zoom in, and wherever those are overlapping, that's where we're going to make sure there ain't no breaks in the line, because we don't want breaks in the line like that there. That would make everything all kinds of messy. That mouth even looks like crap up close. Of course, everything looks like crap up close. This is that one piece of detail I didn't need.
It's only because, well, it's two reasons probably: the teeth themselves, and the fact that the upper lip has no bottom lip.
Yep.
That's why when I do them, God said, "Please, God, give me one where you ain't smiling, showing teeth."
Yeah. Yeah, that mouth looks pretty dang basic and boring, but it you saw it in the picture. So
yeah.
It may be the destruction of this pattern, but we're going to try.
Charles said, Mac said, Charles, I think we're keeping Russ awake.
Keep me awake, hell.
Keeping him awake. I'm not the one yawning over here.
Yeah, I forgot to trace in the rest of the shadow here, so I have to refer to the image. I don't think it'll be too detailed. I didn't miss that much at all. So I did kind of screw the pooch on there. Where am I?
Just the side of the head going up.
Yeah, it's the eyebrow on up to. I think it just kind of curves in like this. This part isn't real important because it's not that detailed. Well, you know what? I think it's pretty basic. I think we'll be okay. I didn't miss too much of it. Okay. There's a break in the line because the eyes are. Why are those white? I don't see any breaks in the line. Oh, you're right there in the corner. Both of them, by God. Well, let me clean up that line because I didn't mean to make it scribblified. There's another break in the line. This is where things start to pop if you did them right. And I don't know that I did. Whoops, that means there was a break in the line. Don't you worry. Yeah, this could be one of them train wrecks, but we're gonna try it. By God. We might be all right with the mouth. You never know. Because it is, going off the photograph, but the eyes actually are messing with me right now. But you could say, I probably just needed to make the light in the eyes like I was going to originally do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks more like that eye now. So let me go ahead and the song I'm whistling is 20 Years Ago by Kenny Rogers. No prize, no prize. Sorry.
Josh asked, could you just get rid of the teeth and just have, I guess, like no teeth? Just like have a mouth down there instead of a teeth.
Or like shadow, yeah, we could try it. Why not have 20? We've done 20 versions of Clint Eastwood might as well do 20 of John Wayne, by God. The sound effects on that phone sound like my old Nokia from way back.
Yeah. Lawrence says, Charles, you make it look easy peasy. And Max said, Lawrence, that's called talent. And Charles definitely has it. Boy, that Mac Pierce is blowing some tall smoke.
You know, that mouth may not. Now, the mouth does look a little off, but it doesn't look as bad as I thought it would.
Have you finished coloring it in?
Technically, no.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it could be worse, but it could be better.
Can you move the original picture up to where we can see the mouth portion?
No,
compared to that,
then I won't look perfect if I do that.
I know that, by God. I want to see everybody saying how much talent and stuff. I want to see them teeth compared to the drawn teeth.
I hear you.
Because I think,
well, the original photo has dark, different levels of shadow. This one is only something's wrong with that dang mouth. Even that upper lip. Dag blabbit.
Get them close, man. Pull them up, suck them close together.
They are sucked close together.
Not enough.
Well, okay.
I wanted to be bringing them to me where you could actually detail the mouth on each one and not see all the rest of it. Yes, like that, and bring it up to on the others, just like that. Bring that one up to it.
Sir, yes, sir.
My God,
that is crap. I need to redo that mouth. That's what we need to do.
I'm not happy with that either.
I'm not either, and we don't want Russ unhappy. Yeah,
my God, I won't come back.
Which is what's funny is y'all saw me trace the mouth, and it looks nothing like it. So we're going to completely eliminate the mouth.
Well, the hard part is because he doesn't have any lips; they're thin.
Yeah,
and that upper lip is so thin that you don't have much to trace.
We are actually going to do the digital version like I did before, and so that's how we're going to do the mouth. But if you ever wanted to see John Wayne without a mouth, there you go.
My God, it's just like him.
Let's go. We're going to go ahead and color in the parts we can color in, and then we'll come back to that monstrosity called the mouth. Yeah, that I butchered that mouth. It happens. I told y'all, dagnabbit, it happens. Oh, that's not good. That does not look like John Wayne.
Josh is saying over 20 different mouths. I guess that's what he means.
Yeah. Whoops.
Here we go again.
What have I done? My goodness.
You have an open line. You can't do that.
No, sir. It wasn't an open line. I just had too high of a tolerance. That sounds like Greek, but yeah, that's what that is. So
Max said he ain't never seen John Wayne looking so quiet. That's because he ain't got a mouth.
I was about to do a John Wayne impression, but Russ informed me I can't do impressions. So
I'll come up and say, "Well, Pilgrim."
Well, that sounded absolutely nothing like him.
I know it, my God.
We're even.
I'm so excited about using my new little Instapot.
Whoops.
I can't wait to cook something in it. Maybe tomorrow.
Whoops is never a good word, especially from a surgeon.
Oh, the other one is I can't find it. Did y'all see where I put it?
Doctor, I think it's in his skull.
Open him back up.
Blab it. It's better be covered by insurance. Overall, I'm happy so far with how this has turned out, but that it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle, but we'll get there. It's doable, by God.
Yeah. Take that daggum lip and grab it and copy and paste it right onto the pattern.
Yeah, I'll just put it on there and title the pattern "Do It Your Dang Self."
This will even beat the great and powerful Charles Deering.
We'll call it an Venomouth.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Huh.
Oops.
We'll do it like Josh said, and have you 20 different ones. You can just plaster one on at your preference.
Pin the mouth on the dick.
There you go. Josh says we have a black John Wayne. That was when you had it on all black, I guess.
Yeah, that's one.
No.
What?
I don't have a clue.
Me neither. I don't care if there's specks in there because right now we got to get that mouth going on. I don't no more care. Well, hello, Pilgrim. I need a mouth over here.
Well, I hate to tell you, maybe the chat will agree with me, but that didn't sound like it. We got my wife choking up back here.
I have that effect. You sure are mean.
I know it. I don't understand why you keep having me back. I'm so damn mean.
I'm a glutton.
Sorry about my language. I don't want those
Live
sponsorships.
with them.
Sorry about the language.
Well, yeah.
I don't remember you cussing.
I said DAMN.
Well, you can see that on cartoons now. I'm kidding. Let's go ahead and spell it in case somebody caught it the first time. It's funny, right? Whoops, but we don't like whoops. Whoops is not a good thing. Now, I don't think I'm going to like this piece right here that I just colored in. Like, Pilgrim, you want to throw a mouth on me over there?
Yeah. He'd be telling you what he thinks about it if you give him a mouth.
I'm not going to hit you. The hell I'm not.
Oh, that's McClintock.
No,
I
that's
remember that.
John Wayne, mister. I'm kidding. I know what you meant.
I know it. That was the movie.
Well, you recognize that means I sounded like John Wayne. Work with me over here.
I remember the words coming out of his mouth when he said it.
Okay,
I'm not going to hit you.
The hell.
I'm not. The hell I'm not. Whack! Knocks him down in the mud hole down there. That was funny.
Yes.
With Maureen O'Hara.
I'm going to take a break, drink me a swig of Dr. Pepper, and then we're going to figure out this here mouth. Apparently a mouth is needed.
Yep.
As an overall pattern, I'm okay with it. But the pattern does need a mouth. Now, what do y'all think about that one, that thing here at the top? Yeah, we could probably leave it, you know.
You do need something to delineate because that's a whole big spotch of white up there without it.
Yeah.
You do need something there.
I don't think it destroys it like a big old cheek shadow did earlier or on Clint Eastwood.
As that picture goes on the portrait there, it comes down and goes and it curves off to the left side toward the top, and that gives it the overall shape of the hat.
Yes.
And I don't know if you'd want to put that much in it, but you could put more than that and probably get away with that.
I think we can get away with this. Okay, we got to do Mr. Mouth. Now, y'all will be a white witness. If he still looks bucktooth, it's because, you know, it's just some things don't translate well. Sorry, I just decided I would do a random internal gush of air.
Yeah.
Okay, now here is how we're going to do this. The way to do this, you pick the same spot on both things. So where the hat meets the head, I'm going to start there. And we will go to right to where that line meets the bandana. We will copy and paste, do the same exact thing over here.
God, these people are crazy for doing that.
You so crazy.
She's talking to herself in her machine.
Oh, I do that. Okay.
Yeah, people put on.
So the way we're going to do this, folks, is we're going to make this one on the left the same size as the one on the right, and then we'll take out everything except for the mouth, and then we'll bring the mouth over here and then just digitize over it, and I'll make more sense out of that once I. So
I
this
can't picture it, man. I just got to see it.
I hear you. So okay, you see the numbers in the lower right corner where it says 1584 by 1812.
I see numbers.
That is the dimensions of the piece on the right. So I'm going to write that down so I can make the one on the left the same size. 1584 by 1812. Image resize. Let's see what's going on. 1584. What was the other? 1812. Now see that didn't come out the same, so I have to invent it. Okay, so now it looks a little stretched. What the hell?
It's the same.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
It looks skewed.
Not to me, it don't.
Well, let me edit undo. Image resize. Now, well, it still about looks the same anyway. So what we're gonna do here? We're gonna take out all that over there. Okay, we're gonna do all that over there.
Hmm.
We're taking
No,
out.
wait, Mr. Potato Head. Ah,
Yeah, that's funny right there. I tell you what, we're taking out everything. I want to leave that frown line as something to work off of to line it up with the pattern. And I just noticed something here. This is minimal, but I can see it. Something that matters. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. If you're looking closely, this is something I probably should have added for dimension. Do you see? I'll use a bright green to show you. This is something I did not add in the pattern. You see how you can kind of see the upper lip line right here?
Yep.
I didn't add that. And that could add dimension. Same thing right here, sort of. So we may add that in, but yeah, there's that. But since I see it right here, I may hint at it. Now the reason why I'm doing this in fluorescent green is so when I copy and paste it will it'll stand out. Oops, I need to use a mistakes. This is just to let me know where to work from. Blah blah blah, bull stank. Okay. It still may not end up looking good, I'm just saying. Right now I'm tracing everything in green that I'm going to be cutting out, so treat it like it's dark. Now see, he has some lower teeth showing too. If you see it zoomed in there,
yeah.
that's what some of that chaos is. He's still going to look bucktooth, I think. This is the rough way of doing it. This is a last resort for me. When I cannot get something right, I will flat out trace it like this. And again, we don't want to look like lipstick, so that's why we're having to make the upper lip light instead of dark, and that could be playing into part of why it looks funny. And you really can't see the teeth on the lower half, so maybe I should just leave those out.
Leave them. I wouldn't even put them in there.
Because they look way too bucky. Does she have a Nokia? Because that sounds like one of the old Nokia.
No.
There's a gap in there, so we got to add that gap. And there's a little bitty tooth back here that could add to the buck look. I don't know the technical term for buck teeth.
You know, when you were drawing it before, I couldn't see it, but then you got it enhanced there, enlarged, I can see it. So maybe that been helped by having it in there.
I don't know. This is chaotic though. Overall, I'm happy with the pattern, 95%. But apparently, mouths are important on portraits.
Yeah, for sure.
And we got that crooked lower lip. Might as well put it in there. But y'all are my witness. I'm tracing that lower lip as it is. You know, we may end up taking this line out of it, but it is what it is. And we want to suggest the upper lip, so we're going to trace the top of it. Y'all are my witness as the shape of it. Whoops, my arm bumped. I know it looks funny right now, but this is just what we're working with. I'm going to trace this frown line, so we use it as a reference point to line it up with the other one. Very roughly tracing it just to get an idea of the placement of the mouth. And if I'm being technical, I didn't perfectly trace the shadow of the corner of that mouth.
Right.
So I should probably do that a little more accurately. And this is the last resort. I rarely have to do this on a pattern, but occasionally I do because who wants a weird mouth? Just saying. I do. Okay. Now maybe we can do those the lines partially across the teeth to show where the bottom of the upper lip is. But that could also be contributing to the bucktooth look. I don't know. Because I just learned to make scroll saw patterns today. Okay, now we're going to boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, Lawrence is asking when using the bright green, will it be on the pattern?
No, it'll be gray. I'm just using that to differentiate what I was tracing from everything else. But if you ever see anything that looks kind of digital
Mm-hmm.
on any of my patterns, it's because I did something like this and didn't clean it up and make it look less pixelated. Okay, so we are going to edit, copy. Here goes nothing. Edit, paste as transparent selection. Now we know right where to put that mouth because we have that reference mark of the frown line. And that's not terrible.
I like it better.
See what happens when you trace it better than with your hand?
Yeah.
So that's how we fix that. Now, not everything lines up perfectly, but that's all right. Go selection, select 9. Boom, bippy.
I actually like that a lot better.
Well, yeah, because we traced every pixel. I do too, because I didn't like. Now we want to make it look less digital, so I'm going to clean up some of these sharp angles and crap. But don't tell anybody we did it that way.
Nope. Your secret's safe with me. I don't know about these other yahoos.
Yeah, because I don't want it to look digital, even though this portion of the program was digital. But yeah, sadly, that's what sometimes it takes, having to literally trace it right from the actual photograph, because my eye does not always see what's actually there, because that would make way too much sense.
Chris Nealon just pops up. Hello, Chris.
Mr. Nealon, how you is? I've got something I need to work on for Mr. Nealon. But it shan't be live because I've already done it live. Whoops. Hello. Wrong direction there.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. So what we have here.
Lawrence said it looked to him like you had a shadow under the top lip at the teeth. Originally or now?
I did. That's what these lines are. That's just to show where the yeah. That's the best we're gonna get.
I think that's pretty good.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, let me get rid of all this extra crap.
There you are.
Let's do the whole.
Happy with it?
Yes, sir. For the most part, yeah. Pretty much.
I think it looks pretty stinking neat myself.
Well, I stinking appreciate it, by God. Now we're not.
Josh is heading out.
Dag nabbit, Josh.
Everybody's saying it looks great.
Much obliged, much obliged. Yeah, that mouth made all the difference, I tell you what.
I mean, it did.
No, we're not totally done yet. I will explain what's going on with this volunteer firefighter thing over here. It is important to me, as it is what I will say is probably important to other people as well, so that's why I'm about to talk about it. But I may have bitten off more than I could chew, because I'll show you here in a second. If you look closely at this, there's not a lot of, it's kind of pixelated, in other words. There's, let me try to soften it and see what happens. That might actually be better. Okay, yeah, we're going to go with that. So let me save that. And da-da-da-da-da. We're going to do da-da-da-da-da. La-di-da-di. Where are we at? Why does that look? No, it's not. Never mind. And we're going to add the whole Hoosier What's It.
By God, if you don't have that who's or what's it in there, it just ain't right.
No, and if you don't say boom bippy, it's even worse. Now,
Well,
he looks like he
Chris
has,
is happy with it. Hot dang, that's nice. It is.
like you sure.
You should have seen the trouble we had getting there.
What was all this?
Open your mouth.
Whoops, that's JW, not HW. So that is that. Now, appreciate y'all watching that, but something's still missing somewhere. It just may be, I just made the thumbnail a little too small. But anyway, what we are going to do with this, and I hope y'all will help me spread the word. How many people do we have watching? You probably don't know that. So let me go peek. We have 12 people watching. I would now, but I'm not going to make it look like I dreamed this up all by myself. But Botas Helder did the same thing, but with a different picture. What I'm going to do is, if I can get the pattern correct, because it doesn't always go well, we're going to make this pattern into a scroll saw pattern. I mean, this photo into a scroll saw pattern. Okay. And it is showing a volunteer firefighter with a koala, which is not a koala bear, just for the record. There's no such thing as a koala bear, because they're not bears. They're marsupials, like a kangaroo. Anyway, we're going to make this into a scroll saw pattern. Every last shred of penny that anybody spends on this scroll saw pattern, we will donate to Australia-based charities. And I'll research what Steve Good and Botas Helder, where they have sent their donations to, and we'll all send them to the same thing. So if anybody is interested in this, when it becomes a scroll saw pattern, it will be for sale, and every penny will go to Australia charities. Now, I will say again, I said this earlier, if you do not trust me, follow your gut. I won't tell you how to feel about me. If you don't think it'll go to the charity, then don't buy it. I don't mean that rudely. If you don't trust me, then go with your gut. But I don't know how to prove that it's happening, but every penny of this is going to go to the Australia-based charities. So I hope y'all will help me spread that word. Botas Helder did the same thing with Finished Pieces, I believe. He was encouraging. I think he gave the pattern away, but he was encouraging people to sell the cuttings to give to charity. But I suck at selling cuttings, so that's why I'm offering the pattern.
Mighty Mike did the same thing on his live. He cut the pattern that Botas did.
Yeah, that's what Botas Helder's purpose was to give away the pattern so people would sell the cuttings made from it. But I think I can better serve the public with them buying the pattern and cutting it They do whatever they want with the cutting, but the pattern.
This is a cooler pattern than that one. Even that one was nice, but this one's better because it has actual firefighter in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's now giving credit where credit is due. Aussie Man Bill sent me the photo to work from, so he's
Right.
the only person that gets one for free because he provided the thing, and he's in Australia, and he's one of the people that might need help. And I don't remember. I think some of the charities are wildlife based. Some of them are generically based for helping Australia deal with all the fires. I need to research a little more. But again, I urge any of you, if any of you doubt my sincerity or trustworthiness to get it to charity, please do not buy the pattern for that reason, whatever reason. If you don't trust me, I won't tell you to, but I can be trusted. I don't know how to prove that. But every last penny will go to the Australian charities. So once I announce this will be my next live stream. It might even happen tonight because I'm still awake. Matter of fact, I'll just schedule it within the next 30 minutes or so. So
All right.
if you are listening, please help me spread it to all the groups, just like we did for Botas Helder. I verbally shared it, but I didn't do enough sharing on Facebook, and I should have, but I didn't. This is not about me making a name for myself. It's me trying to help, and y'all can help by buying the pattern, and the money will go to Australian charities. So if y'all can help me, and I'll be repeating what I'm saying right now in case nobody watches this live stream. I'll start the other live stream explaining this whole thing again. And I know y'all aren't used to me talking a lot during a live stream, but hopefully y'all can stick with me here. So this is what we're going to be working on. Don't know how it's going to turn out. It may take 20 hours. I'm kidding. Hopefully not. But we are going to work on that, and I hope y'all will help me spread that word. But for now, we're going to end. Well. Okay. I think we're awake enough that we won't lose it completely. Start practicing there, Russ.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Awesome Man said it's a shame that you cropped it right where there more flames were, but you did get some of them.
I can let me stop screen sharing because I can. Well, I was trying to focus the. Oh crap! Sorry, Wes. God,
Focusing more on the firefighter and the koala bear right at that point.
Okay,
Right?
okay. In my defense, Wes, I did when I'm
Awesome.
screen sharing. I can't see the. I can't see the. I can't see.
No excuse. No excuse.
Dang it.
I'm glad.
No, I've only been sitting here waiting for 20 minutes. That's all.
I'm sorry.
But I learned a lot.
I really am sorry, Wes, but I know I don't know how much you know about StreamYard, but when I'm screen sharing, all I can see is what I'm sharing. I can't see the hangout here. If I was inside of here, tracing the pattern, looking up the comments, I'd have seen you.
I knew you couldn't, but I thought maybe you might get a ding and hear me. So I sent you a message.
Because I see it flashing on the tab up there, but I didn't see it. Let me look for the photo that Bill is talking about, the original photo, and because I knew the smaller I crop it, the bigger I can make the design and more clearly. But let me look for the pattern he sent me. I believe I'll have it in my downloads.
I want to make sure that everybody in the chat out there knows that he's the other Wes.
Yeah,
I'm the newest Wes. He's the older Wes.
That's right.
Funny right there.
I mean,
West Meadows.
they bound to be one out there somewhere.
Let me go to my email, and I may have to
Max asking you how was date night. I guess you don't want to kiss and tell.
Oh, we're getting married.
What is it? It's only 9 o'clock and I'm home. So
That's funny right there.
Let's not go any further with that, folks.
Let me. Okay, here's the picture. Let me download it again, and we will bring that in, and we will screen share that. Okay. Now, if anybody else pops in, I ain't gonna know it because here we are.
To answer the question legitimately, though, things are going good. So I'm happy.
That's good. All right, we need to screen share.
Happy as a duck floating in the water.
By God. All right, so what we have here. is the original source photo. It does show more of the fire, but my purpose was, and I know Bill isn't getting on to me. He's referring to this fire down here. It showed more fire. Now that can show, but the purpose, a couple purposes for why I cropped it the way I did was because it focuses it. What does it focus on? It focuses on the firefighter up close and the koala. That is why I cropped it, because that's really the only reason. Because scroll saw pattern wise, this wouldn't have shown up very much. I mean, it would. You could kind of tell it's fire from a photograph. You know it's fire. On a scroll saw pattern, it may not have, but the fact that it's a firefighter tells you it's fire related, and the wall is in there, and that's why I cropped it the way I did. So I hope that makes sense to people, because if this has been like a raging inferno as far as the photo itself, I would have included more of the fire. But I think this one here. What do y'all think in the chat? Because feedback does matter. I think the cropped version.
I like the crop version better.
I do too, just because of where the main focus.
Yeah,
goes
the
to.
focus being is why I cropped it.
It's more up close and personal.
Yeah.
Than the other, I think.
I do the same thing on my patterns though.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's not to minimize the importance that Aussie Man Bill was referring to.
All right.
Lawrence asked you a question.
Mills,
How much was the forgiven pattern?
it's either 7 or 10. I don't remember. It's on woodenvisions.com in the search bar on the far right. You will type in, at least on a computer, it's on the far right. You just type in forgiven and it'll pop right up, by golly. So there's that. Wes, I need your help spreading the news. I'm not stealing any thunder, because this isn't about me or Bodus Helder. He gave his pattern away in order for people to sell the finished pieces and give the proceeds to charity. And what I'm wanting to do is give the pattern proceeds from this to charity.
Bill
Well, that's
says,
what we
but it's your
did.
pattern.
Yeah, that's what we did with the Billy Graham patterns. It all went to Samaritan's Purse Foundation.
Yeah, and again, me doing a Australia-based pattern and giving the stuff to charity is not my original idea. Bodus Helder giving credit where credit is due. Not that it's about us designers. It's about he gave the pattern away, and people cutting it gave the proceeds to charity. And I should have done a better job sharing that. But and y'all don't have to share it now, because I'm going to start a new live feed to do this one, which will be within 30 minutes of this one ending. I'll do that. But if y'all can help me spread that all over the internet, that'd be great. Not for me, but for the sake of giving. The more patterns we sell of this, the more proceeds go to the charity. And I could do that with all pattern sales, but I struggle as it is. And that's why I'm saying, because I always talk about how much I struggle. If anybody doesn't trust me to send the money to charity, then follow your gut and don't buy one. I'm not trying to be rude. If you don't trust me, trust your gut. But I have no idea how to prove to people that all proceeds will be going to Australian charities. Now I may need to research those charities before I start the live feed. Not research them, but get specific addresses and put them in the description. But we will do another live feed tonight, or in the U.S. here it's tonight. Special thanks to Aussie Man Bill for providing this photograph to work from. And let me get back over to the Who's or What's It and see if. Now we have 3 chances to get this right, folks. As far as well, no, we're going to give 2 chances. Wes, can you show back up on camera? Unless your makeup isn't right.
I'm working on it.
Oh, by the way, Aussie Man says where that was taken a few minutes earlier was nothing but flames. I don't doubt that at all. Now Russ has this thing where he's not able to point right at the camera.
Oh, here we go.
Well, no, because of
competition between the two of us, huh?
No, it's just
what all I can say is you're going down.
It's just more people doing it, but the odds are better if there's 2 guys. At least one of them might point at the camera, because it looks stupid if I go scroll on. Oh.
Well, that's what John is saying. Is Russ going to try the finger again?
Oh, we got a visitor.
You look at that. Look at that, Russ, on the first try. Now, when I say 3, 2, 1, we're gonna. Well, first, let me thank everybody for being here, Russ. You don't have to pose yet.
I got to keep it or I'll lose it.
Okay.
Let me get a better angle here.
Like, is this my good side? He's posing with a.
Oh, it's on, John said.
Now. Okay. But basically, I'm gonna say appreciate everybody being here. We are going to start another live feed within the hour. I have to research links for the charities to put in the description and stuff like that. So, but I beg of all of you, anybody watching this, no matter when you see it, help me spread the word, not for my sake, but for the sake of the charities. Anybody that buys the pattern, I'll explain all that. But if anywhere y'all see it, spread it everywhere. But I'm gonna say thank everybody for being here. And Wes and Russ, since I'm not on camera, are going to do the pointing and scroll on thing. But appreciate everybody being here. Please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, or whatever the case may be. Click on the bell. Within the hour, we will. Sorry, I'm reading the comments.
We will go live.
Within the hour, we will be back. Hopefully, we can get Wes back. It depends on how his date went. And Daniel Davis, appreciate you being here, but we're leaving. But we will be back within the hour. So I'm going to say, as soon as Wes and Russ, see, I can't mess that up if I say both your names. As soon as I say
you
both
can.
their
I've
names,
heard it before.
Oh, yes. He's very good at it.
Yeah, I'll let them do the pointing. God, I'm going to let them do the pointing and the scroll on thing. And as soon as they say it, the broadcast, I'll hit end broadcast as soon as they say it. So, guys, take it away. Appreciate everybody being here. It's on you guys right now.
Scroll on.